Don't look. Yeah, wherever you were just looking, don't look there.
Oh, don't
that
look
one.
there?
No, look there.
Okay.
But then for a half a second, you looked to a different
That
one.
That's not
Don't
good.
look at that. Don't look at the one you were. Yes, look at this one. Correct.
Okay. What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast. I am one of your hosts for this episode, Brittany Brombacher, joined by Christine Steimer.
Oh, hello. It's us, just us. We have a very tiny show, but not in length in terms of people.
Dang it, I don't have my That's What She Said.
I know, it's like, where's the pillow?
It's over there where we left it from when you ladies came in last week. But like Steimer said, it is just me and Steimer this week. It's you and me. And all of the people.
Wait, what does he say?
All of the people, I think.
And all of the people? Wait, it's you and me and all of the people?
I don't know.
That's not very romantic at all.
That must not be how it goes. I never stopped to think. Show's already off the rails. Andrea is out of the country enjoying some much-needed R&R with the in-laws. So that leaves Steimer and I to hold down the fort for episode 69.
Oh, boy.
Of the What's Good Games podcast. We're going to try to keep this on rails, but...
Okay. We'll do our best, but
I don't say that with any commitment, honestly.
It's like we are basically... Here's what we are. Because we've coined or co-opted the term garbage truck on fire a lot from Kind of Funny. However, I don't think that's what we are. What we are is that level in Donkey Kong Country where you are on the cart and all of the rails just stop existing. And so either you can jump and make it, or you're just going to fall to your death.
Either way.
Either way. I forget what that level is called.
Minecart.
Minecart Madness, maybe?
I don't know. That sounds like a very Donkey Kong-esque level. So, with all of that said, we are going to try to keep this, like I said, on the rails. We're going to try to keep...
Minecart Madness.
Nice. Good job. Go team. We're going to try to keep the sexual innuendos to a minimum. But other than that...
But it's episode 69.
It is. So we have to insert the obligatory nice.
That's what... Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, what is the nice from? Is that Quagmire?
No, Quagmire is giggity.
That's true.
I don't know.
Who does nice? I don't know. Anyways, whatever. It's fine. Anyways, moving on.
Okay,
Social media.
So, social media. Before we get to that, I want to give a little disclaimer that because I only have 2 monitors in my room, ladies and gentlemen, the streaming room, if you will, I had to print out all of my notes. So if you hear papers shuffling, and by notes I mean like the show notes. So if you hear papers shuffling, things just seem a little off, just bear with me because I have to.
It's like a regular ass newsroom with you shuffling things in there.
There you go. Listen, we're professional. We're legit.
Look at you. Look how professional you are with that.
Something about shuffling papers just makes me feel real good. Okay, housekeeping. PAX West is officially over.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! We had a wonderful time. We will be talking about all things PAX in the third segment. What I want to say is if you attended our What's Good Games panel at the Hydra Theater on Sunday, we're going to cover a lot of the same stuff we talked about. We'll probably deep dive a little bit more. But if you want to watch that panel anyway, where we talk about poop bags and Resident Evil 2 and boyfriends that turn into swords, you can check that out at what'sgoodgames.com. We have the archive of the panel there. Also, I want to give a shout out to our social media because I feel like we have an awesome rad community and you should be a part of it. So twitter.com/what'sgood_games, facebook.com/what'sgoodgames, subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/what'sgoodgames, where you can watch Steimer and I doing our crazy antics that we tend to do, and it's a good time. And we have an awesome Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/what'sgoodgames. We have about 1,700 listeners in there, and they're awesome and rad and very, very cool. Another shout out to Rihanna, New, and Colin, who are members of our community who volunteered at our PAX West meetup with Square Enix to celebrate all things Life is Strange 2. We could not have done this without you. You 3 are rad and amazing, and we appreciate you spending your time to help us out. I mean, we did hook them up with some awesome swag, but
that was super kind of you. Thank you.
Yes, it's the least we could do.
'Twas much appreciated.
I know. Gosh, does it feel like we're back from PAX? I don't know. I feel like we hit the ground running.
I feel like I kind of want to crawl into a hole somewhere for a really long time. Mm-hmm. But PAX, thankfully, is, I think, well, we'll know in a bit if it's the last con-ish travel we have to do. We may have one more, may not.
Yeah.
And that I would look forward to it if this was the last one we had to do. for this year because I'm very tired.
You're looking forward to just kind of cuddling up with a blanket and a book and some games.
Yeah, it's been a little bit chillier here for the past 2 days, which I'm kind of digging. And it just means that I snuggle up on the couch and I'm playing video games and like having a good old time.
That sounds lovely, says me, who's leaving for Europe this weekend. I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. I'll be back September 28th, I think is the show, when I'll be back for that one. Anyway, it's going to be a good time. I'm looking also forward to doing some R&R with the fam, celebrating the 1-year wedding anniversary already. Can't believe it.
Oh my God, it's been a year already?
Yeah, dude.
Dude. Time flies. Holy shit.
I know. And
I felt like you just got married.
I know. I was just in Bora Bora. And there's this weird anniversary thing where it's like the first year you celebrate, you have to get something to do with paper. I don't know. Okay.
Paper is the first one.
Jason and I just discovered this like 2 days ago, so we're scrambling. It'll be great. It'll be wonderful.
Paper is the ticket that you got for the cruise. Done.
Let me just print out the receipt for this cruise, babe. hey, you know, that's kind of cute. I mean, kind of, you know, it's a last resort. At least I have a good idea if all else fails.
But you don't have to think of like just a card or whatever. You can think of like tickets to things or art books, things of that nature.
Art books. I do appreciate a good art book, especially the adult art books that they have these days. They're fun.
Sounds real dirty.
That does sound real dirty. I'm talking about like the Dragon Age ones that I got you. Those are real cool.
That also sounds dirty.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this week we are brought to you by Quip and Stitch Fix. But first, I'm going to tell you all about Quip. When you think of the things you do every day, brushing your teeth probably isn't top of mind. But for something that's so important to your health, it really should be. That's why Quip wants to help you brush better. So, what is Quip? Well, for starters, Quip is an electric toothbrush that's a fraction of the cost of bulkier brushes. Also, there's this handy-dandy built-in timer that helps you clean for the dentist's recommended 2 minutes with guiding pulses that remind you when to switch sides. And if you're also a person of convenience like I am, Quip delivers new brush heads on a dentist-recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5, including free shipping worldwide. They're backed by a network of over 20,000 dentists and hygienists and hundreds of thousands of happy brushers that use Quip every day. In fact, it's the first subscription electric toothbrush to be accepted by the American Dental Association. Steimer, I bet you didn't know that.
I actually didn't.
Now you do.
Now I do.
How are you liking your Quip?
Well, it's currently still at Andrea's because I accidentally left it there. So I'm like been waiting. I've actually been really sad because I want to use this when I go travel places because it's way easier to travel with. But it's just bad sitting with Andrea. And I actually asked her to bring it for me both times that I've seen her on other trips, and she has forgotten as well.
You had to go back to that manual. I almost did that motion. That manual brushing again, which is so old and outdated. Don't do that.
So lame.
So Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/what'sgood right now, you'll get your first refill pack free with your Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/what'sgood, spelled GETQUIP.com/what'sgood. Take care of your teeth. They're important.
Yes, please do.
All right, Steimer, we have some news to get to, and you are excited to do this first one. We're gonna switch.
I am excited.
Go, girl.
So, Henry Cavill cast as Geralt in the Netflix Witcher series. So, Superman actor and human weapon. I like that. Sorry, this is also from Destructoid, this blurb that I'm reading. I should give credit where it's due. And I also like that they described him as a human weapon.
I know, me too.
Because I don't know how accurate that is, but sure. Henry Cavill has long been teasing his interest in playing Geralt of Rivia in Netflix's upcoming adaptation of The Witcher, but only today has the casting become official. Both showrunner Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich, sure, Marvel's Daredevil, Marvel's The Defenders, Umbrella Academy, those are things she's worked on, and Cavill himself confirmed the news on social media. A press release from Netflix described the premise of the show, which will adapt the novels by Polish author. Oh shit, I should know how to say his name.
This is why I'm so happy you.
I should know how to say his name, and I've fucking forgotten. Sapkowski. I'm just gonna say his last name because I don't know how to pronounce his first name. Andres, maybe.
Sapkowski.
It's like Andre, but Polish. So which in turn inspired the video games of the same name. Based on the best-selling fantasy series, The Witcher is an epic tale epic tale of fate and family, Geralt of Rivia, a solitary monster hunter, struggles to find his place in a world where people often prove more wicked than beasts. But when destiny hurls him toward a powerful sorceress, that's Yennefer, and a young princess with a dangerous secret, the three must learn to navigate the increasingly volatile continent together. I always forget that the world Geralt lives in is just called the continent.
The continent.
Like, LOL. Anyways, The Witcher will be 8 episodes long with directors Alex Zakharov, who has worked on House of Cards and Game of Thrones, Alex Garcia Lopez, who has worked on Marvel's Luke Cage and Utopia, and Charlotte Brandstrom from Outlander, Counterpart, and Disparu, attached to helm these episodes.
Yes.
So, are you excited about this? Because I had a half second this morning when I saw this, and I was like, Henry's too pretty to play Geralt. But then I was like, but Geralt's actually pretty as well.
Geralt is a very studly man. Yeah, I mean, like I've said many times, I don't know actors. I don't know film that well. So some people are concerned based off of prior performances of his, I suppose. I don't know. I
always thought he was good.
That's what I thought too. But again, what do I know? I think he looks great. And he's posted some photos to his Instagram where you can see where someone kind of shaped him into Geralt, because he has talked about wanting to do this role before. When he was speaking with IGN a little bit ago, he said that he had replayed the game and that he was reading the novels. So I think he looks good. I mean, he looked good from what I saw. And I mean, makeup is an amazing, powerful thing.
Dude, no. So one of the most, I'll say famous, most internet famous cosplayers of Geralt is this guy, Maul cosplay. His name's Ben.
Oh, he's so good.
And he is one of the most good-looking human beings I've ever seen in real life. I'm just like, you exist? But the way that his wife, Maya, like, transforms him with makeup is fascinating. So, like, she's made him into... She does his makeup for Geralt and for literally all of his cosplays. But, like, whenever I see her doing that one in particular, it is always like, whoa.
Whoa, you look real good.
Like, you look... Like, really, that's so cool. Like, it's very cool how this works. And with I don't remember what it's called, but the stuff that you use to make scars, which obviously he will need to have.
Many scars.
So I'm looking forward to this because I do think Henry Cavill is a good actor. And it's not even really a concern because you can change your body, but like his Superman body to me would be a little bit too beefy for Geralt. Like, Geralt's not a massive human being.
No, he's nicely toned and muscular,
yes.
But he's not like, oh, I'm Superman.
He's not a beast. Yeah, exactly.
And the cool thing about Henry Cavill is that he does play video games. I mean, from what we've heard, he's talked about playing Skyrim. In fact, he was playing World of Warcraft when he got the phone call. Did you hear about this? That he had gotten the role of Superman. And he saw the call coming in, but, you can't pause World of Warcraft. So he just let the call go to voicemail. And he knew exactly who it was that was calling him. And then he called him back after he finished doing whatever he was doing in World of Warcraft, which I thought was pretty funny.
I mean, he must have been in, like, a raid. Because literally anything else, you can just get on your mount and, like, fly up. And nothing would harm you.
Nothing would harm you. Yeah, he must have been in the middle of some important business. Also,
yes.
The showrunner tweeted this on September 4th. He was my first meeting. I didn't have writers or scripts yet, just a green light and a lot of passion. That was 4 months ago, and I've never forgotten the passion he brought. He is Geralt. He's always been. I'm so thrilled to welcome Henry Cavill to the Witcher family. Also, when Henry Cavill announced this on his Instagram, he put his address as Geralt, Cara Vesemir, Kaer Morhen. Like, he did all, like, these, like...
Oh, yeah. But...
I know Vesemir. I know. Yeah, we can't... Yeah, that's... It's a touchy subject, but I guess I feel comfortable. I feel like he knows Geralt. Obviously, he's played the games. He's obviously very excited about it. So I think he'll be fine. There were people in the Facebook What's Good Games fan page group that were concerned because they said he looks a little young. But
you can age people up real well.
No, for sure. And not only that, I mean, Witchers are strange, right? Geralt's, 100 years old, I think?
Yeah, I mean, the way age works in general in that universe is a little like, meh.
Yeah.
So, because not only that, the sorceresses are also very old, but are said to use magic to make themselves appear younger. And yeah, given all of the things that wishers go through body-wise, like, It'll be fine.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. Geralt doesn't look incredible. He looks maybe like in his 40s or 50s to me in the games. I know that's not how old he is, but like to me, if I looked at him, that's what I would. I'd be like, you're like 45, maybe pushing 50,
I'm trying
maybe.
To think, because in Witcher 3, he's definitely aged. I mean, he looks
Yes.
aged. Now, I don't know lore-wise if necessarily he has aged between Witcher and Witcher 3. Because the graphics weren't all that wonderful. Obviously, it's an older game. They're fine, but they don't have the attention to detail that they do now. He looks much younger in those first two games, obviously. So, you know, who knows? And plus, like, this isn't based off of the games anyway. This is based off the novels, so.
Yeah, and not only that, like, Henry Cavill's not, like, 22. I'm pretty sure he's my age.
I don't know how old Geralt is in the novel. I don't know. We don't know these things. However, all I'm trying to say is I think he's going to be wonderful.
He is 35.
Oh.
So they only really need to age him 10-ish years visually. Obviously, again, as we've mentioned, Witchers have weird ages. And I think that is totally doable.
Maybe he can just work in the video game industry for a few years. That'll happen real quick. Oh.
Hey, Sailor. Would you like to come on our podcast?
Please. I have questions for you.
Please. No, I mostly desperately just want to, like, hi.
Sarah.
Anyways,
moving on.
Yes, let's move on.
Video game industry stuff. I mean, that really wasn't a good segue, but it kind of worked. Polygon is dropping scored reviews. Now, if you go to Polygon.com, they have a very, very long, like 3-page-esque statement on this whole thing. So I just kind of picked some paragraphs that I thought were good and relevant. They're all good and relevant, but these ones are good for the story. Yeah. So here we go. Games have changed since we launched Polygon. We're changing with them. We believe that a new strategy, focusing on criticism and curation, will better serve our readers than the serviceable but ultimately limited reviews rubric that, for decades, has functioned as a load-bearing pillar of most game publications. I feel like that was a mouthful. As part of this evolution, Polygon will no longer score reviews. At the same time, we recognize that review scores have served a purpose. We don't see this decision as a stance against scores. They aren't inherently bad. In fact, they can be very helpful in their efficiency. We don't want to abandon or shame readers who traditionally rely on scores for their brevity and old
and utilitarian.
Thank you. That was a hard one. Function. That's what she said.
I'm laughing at the way they're like, we don't want to abandon or shame readers, and then they use words like brevity and utilitarian. Like, yeah. I don't know. I feel like that using those words alone is sort of like tisk.
Not everybody has the time to read 3,000 words about a new game, or even 300 about an old one, or even the time to finish this paragraph.
That just reads to me as like highly sarcastic.
I love you. Our solution is a program we're calling Polygon Recommends. To help readers who are short on time know what to play, we will now include the Polygon Recommends badge on essays about games that we strongly believe most of our readers should play or watch. It is not a final verdict on a game, nor does it suggest we have played every moment of what that game has to offer. Instead, the Polygon Recommends badge is a statement that we've played enough of the game to feel comfortable putting our support behind it. When a game receives the badge, it will appear at the top of the essay, review, or video. Some games will receive it, many won't. What now? When a game is released, we may publish impressions of the early hours. We might highlight a small but unexpected detail. Maybe we'll provide a guide to help you navigate the opaque opening moments. It's likely we'll publish something very similar to the classic review every now and then. For the games our audience cares about the most, expect a hodgepodge of all these things and other ideas too. Now, again, I want to just put this out there that I did pick and choose certain paragraphs that I feel like kind of got their point across. So if it does come across a little snooty, that could be my bad. But
no, it wasn't even that. It was just the way that they literally worded those that last. Like it's what it to me read like how sometimes I'll be like, I'm not judging you, but I'm judging you.
Judging you.
A little bit of that is how it came across to me. Like, oh, you might not have time to read all this or even finish this paragraph. You're like, okay.
So it kind of rubbed you the wrong way. So let's.
No, I didn't even really like it. It doesn't, especially because when the way you delivered it was much more kind. I feel like with the Brit filter on it, it's totally good.
I love that Brit filter and Steimer filters are like things that we have now.
Yeah. But anyways, I was just like kind of chuckling to myself. But I think this is interesting. And I also think it's interesting because this means that they won't have a presence on Metacritic anymore.
So dear WGG patron Dave says, Hey, Britt and Steimer. In the past, you two have reviewed many games. How do you feel about scored reviews? Are they helpful? Do they make sense for today's market? Thanks for all you do.
As somebody who used to review games on IGN, I absolutely detested giving them a score. It was my least favorite thing about the job. I don't care how many events they sent me to, how many games they forced me to play. The worst part of it was assigning a number to a game. Because I didn't know. And so how I would handle a lot of my reviews, I think there was like only a handful of exceptions. One being the Red Dead Undead Nightmare DLC, which I just said I was like, this is a 10. Like, I just fucking knew. It's like, this is a 10. But anything else, I would just write my thoughts on the game, and then I would give somebody else what I had written, and I would say, to you, what does this read like? And then they would say, here's sort of like the range that this sounds like it's in. And then I would pick a number and put it on the site. Like, there's no actual science to it, which is why it bothers me. And it's always so subjective. And I really just want to I kind of like the way Kotaku does it, where it's like kind of a thumbs up, thumbs down. Here are some like general highlight overviews of what I really liked or what I really didn't like. And that's it. Like, you don't need a score, because honestly, people just get too fixated on the score and they debate the score way too much. Like, oh, this game got this number, but this game got this other number. Like, there are two different games reviewed by two different people in two different like environments. Yes, they are two different numbers. I don't know. Anyways,
no, I completely agree with you. I've also reviewed games on my YouTube channel, and I never use a point system because I feel like it doesn't make much sense. And I say that because I feel like to get the real feel of a review, you have to actually read or listen to the content, because I might give something a 7 out of 10. And the reason I docked 3 points from it was because I didn't like the story or the character progression. Steimer might give it a 7 out of 10, but she might dock 3 points because she didn't like the level design, or she had issues with the combat. So giving a score to a game, I feel like you have to, that's why probably Metacritic exists, right? You have to get the average of all of these scores together to get an at-a-glance view. But I've never been a fan of scored reviews. Now, I understand the efficiency of them, and I understand that, especially when you have games like God of War, which is getting 10s out of 10s and 9.5s out of 10s, and even Spider-Man, which has an average of 88 on Metacritic right now. I get that those are exciting numbers to promote and brag about, but it also has a downside, because I feel like, again, if I were to give a game a 7 out of 10, I feel like people would be turned off by that. But when a 7 out of 10 isn't necessarily a bad game. Maybe it just had a couple hiccups. I don't know.
No, totally. And then the other element to this is that I personally just detest Metacritic and scores only because of what it does to developers. And so a lot of larger publishers, I can't speak for all of them, but there have definitely been articles like that have come out before where there are bonuses tied to a Metacritic score. And like, to me, that just is such a bummer. Like, for you to be like, well, because these people didn't like X, Y, or Z quality, now, I don't know. The whole thing just rubs me the wrong way. Like, do it based on sales. Also, numbers are meaningless. Like, they just are. Like, if you
mean always, like scores?
Yes. Okay. Well, obviously, I mean, math is a real thing.
Okay, first I thought you were talking about sales, and I was like, wait a minute, no way. She's
no. Yeah, I'm talking about review score numbers. Sorry, okay. I guess numbers are meaningless is not what I meant to say. Numbers have a purpose for sure. Just to me, not necessarily attached to a game. I also think it's interesting where I think Giant Bomb just is stars, sort of similar to movies, but I think for me, I've moved out of the part of my life where I care about what other people are saying about a game, and not what they're saying about it. That's probably, I should rephrase that too. But in general, I'll look at the conversations happening versus just what are the scores. Like, until you just told me Spider-Man scores, I did not know what they were.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about this. When was the last time I actually read a review? I was like, I don't even remember. Because I feel like social media is kind of that thing, right? Where you can listen to the buzz, or you see the buzz people are generating. And those 140, or 240, I guess now, character tweets from people that you've grown to form a professional relationship with, you learn to trust those. And that kind of gives you a feel. Also, like, games aren't completed products that launch anymore. Right? So
correct. Yeah.
If you launch a game and there's some major bugs or there's some issues with the online connectivity, can you dock a game? Can you dock scores? Yeah.
No, sorry. Continue.
Okay. Yeah. I'm saying, so if a game comes out, I think a game comes out and there's a lot of issues with it, and you give it like a 7 or a 6 out of 10, and then those issues are patched a year later, or even 6 months later, or 3 months later, is your score still relevant, or is it not that you gave that game?
Yeah. So what? Oh, sorry. I thought you were done.
I'm done, baby girl.
Oh, okay. So as you were talking, I was like, I actually feel like games are the only media that change that I can think of. Because so movies,
they don't
if you and I sit down and watch a movie, it's the same movie together. Whereas if you and I play a game, I might have bugs, you might not. I might play a certain way, you might miss some of the content because you play a different way. Like games are just so unique in that space that I think generalizing them with a score just doesn't do anybody any favors. It doesn't do the reader a favor because it really doesn't tell you much. It doesn't do, I mean, it tells you like, is this game hot garbage or not? Like that's literally it.
Yeah.
And for the most part, a lot of reviewers don't use the whole score, or not the whole score, the whole scale, which then just means like, okay, so from between, and that's why, as you were mentioning earlier, people think 7 is bad. It's because the whole scale is not getting used really. So all you have is like 7 and up. And when you only have 7 and up, 7's bad because it's the lowest.
I know, and that's so shitty. Because I feel
but like,
yeah.
No, when I reviewed it at IGN, I think I gave a game a 1.5. I used that scale. I used the scale. I was not afraid of the scale. But I mean, there's just like a lot of issues that obviously I could talk a lot about. But
right. I think the ideal review for me, if I were a consumer, would be, even this is something I would use in my life today, is, like write out, your review, how many paragraphs you want to use, whatever, that's on you. Maybe a few photos, but then at the end, I think you were saying Kotaku does this.
Yeah.
Put like 3 highlights, 3 lowlights, and then that I feel like would tell me all that I need to know. Because if your lowlights are, combat or something, I can brush those off. But if your complaints are bad story development, boring characters, I'm like, oh, that's a concern of mine.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. I really, really like the way Kotaku does it for that reason. Because, yeah, I don't really want to read your 3,000 words on this game. I don't. I'm going to play it probably anyway. So I appreciate that box that I was just talking about, that you were talking about. Like, because it does just give you the most general overview of here are the main points of concern. So you can align that with your own personal points of concern and see if they match or not. I think that is infinitely more helpful than saying this game got an 8.
Now, do you think scores will ever go away?
No.
Yeah.
Well, no. I think, they might only in the sense that the larger sites are starting to dwindle or continuing to dwindle. The last couple are like hanging on, but as we've kind of seen the rise of the influencer,
yeah,
I think eventually maybe. But then the other problem is, do you mean just like scores from a credited site, or do you mean scores in general? Because I don't think Steam's going to remove numbers from their reviews.
Right. I'm talking, do you think IGN will ever go away from that sort of thing?
I don't think IGN will. They're far too stubborn. I don't know that IGN or GameSpot will, but I do. Obviously, things like Polygon and Kotaku are already shaking it up.
Times
but also now I'm like, what else is there? I'm like trying to think of other.
There are so many. Times are changing, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's something that we've thought about because obviously we talk about games, although we don't really review games. It would be nice to have on a commercial, What's Good Games gave it 5 Silbandos out of 5. It would be nice.
Oh, that'd be cute. But no, I mean, I think if the thing we could shoot for, Britt, which will never happen because, again, our podcasts come out after the games come out and all the marketing stuff is decided beforehand, unless it's like a Game of the Year edition. But we can be those box quotes.
Oh, I'd hit it.
Yeah.
That'd be like Steimer's quote. Can be great banging. All right, speaking of banging or lack thereof.
Yes. Anthem Demo. Oh, wait, because you did the other one.
Oh, we're switching off. I forgot. Continue.
Oh, wait, but then it's fine. Anyways, Anthem Demo releases for PS4, Xbox One, and PC in February, the month of love, even though there is no love in this game, or at least no physical love. So this comes from GameSpot. EA has announced that it will make a VIP demo for BioWare's Anthem available to EA/Origin Access subscribers to Xbox One and PC, respectively, on February 1st, 2019. The demo will also be available to pre-order customers, which opens the door for PS4 players to get in on the action. The announcement was made during the studio's PAX West panel. Anthem lead producer Mike Gamble said the demo is, quote, not a tech test or beta looking for feedback, and it is instead a, quote, slice of our game. So we knew this as well. We talked about this on our PAX West panel because we saw like a preview basically of their panel. And so other things that we learned from the media briefing were that missions will not be locked due to quote unquote bad choices, but we don't know what the consequences are. They did say the word consequences. They have said there will be choice and consequence, but
yeah. So this is something you talked about on the PAX panel, and it's a great point because what they're trying to do, what BioWare is trying to do here, is they're making sure that everyone can participate in the multiplayer action. So what that means is,
which I totally get,
you can't lock out missions, and so the issue that Steimer's bringing up is, well, okay, well, if you have an NPC who is a mission giver, and I really piss them off, what are my consequences going to be if you're not going to restrict me on content that I could further explore in the game?
I mean, I think for the mission givers, I think what it's going to be is your quote unquote choice is going to be severely lacking. It's going to be like you can be minorly rude to them or not. I think, like that's just basic. This is my speculation because I can't see a world where you are able to like slap someone across the face and then they continue to give you missions.
Fine.
Right?
You can have this mission even though you slapped me across the face. So, yeah, so something I was thinking is I wonder if you're going to have, obviously BioWare is keeping kind of tight-lipped about this, but if you're going to have a wide variety of characters outside of these integral folks, like the mission givers, you might have some random lesser important NPCs, and maybe those people you can piss off and you'll suffer some consequences. Maybe they'll leave your game, or maybe something will happen. But but they weren't specific, right. Which I kind of wish they would have been about at least one example. Mm-hmm. You don't have to tell me everything. It's nice to jump in there and figure things out on your own. But because the other thing to note, so I feel like we're jumping all over the place. I apologize. Is that what they showed was the conversations from now in this game will only be binary. Is that correct? Yes. So there's two options. I was like, is this the correct term? So you can choose right trigger or left trigger. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much it. So I imagine your personalities, you can't have like a wide variety of personalities. So for instance, I'm thinking of Dragon Age 2, where like you had the like sarcastic option, you had the kind option, you had the angry option. Mm-hmm. These two are more like, which question are you going with? They showed us only about 2 to 3 examples. Right. So almost nothing compared to how large the game theoretically is. But from them, I didn't get a whole lot of tone necessarily, mm-hmm. if that makes sense. Oh, yeah, for sure.
They weren't drastically different. It wasn't like one's the asshole option, one's the nice option. They were just 2 different ways of going about a conversation, which is kind of interesting, actually. It's interesting to move away from this is good, this is bad, and more into, well, what do you want to ask them? What do you want to know? Mm-hmm. I think that that's kind of fascinating, actually. And I mean, I don't know. I kind of wish they would stay away from the word consequences because I honestly don't know how much that's going to be. But I do think that it's an interesting path to go down to be like, well, these will become more natural conversations because you'll be thinking less about trying to match up with being a quote like a renegade or a paragon or whatever. Like, I play this, and you'll be more interested in actually focusing on the conversation and listening to what the person is saying and figuring out where you want to move from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because we want to know so much, so we're all just speculating the shit out of all of this. But it's interesting because when a developer like BioWare uses the word consequence, I mean, we think of Mass Effect, we think of Dragon Age, but they have explicitly said we are not trying to make another Mass Effect. We're not trying to create another Dragon Age. This is Anthem, and Anthem is different. Anthem is almost geared toward an RPG noob-esque audience, right? Which is why they've said they're using the binary, to use a quote from Steimer, the binary choices. And I think it's important that they push this message because if this wasn't a BioWare game, would we be so hung up on the lack of banging? Would we be so hung up on the lack of consequences? I mean, we don't know. Maybe the consequences will happen in your single-player story, and we just don't know about it yet, which is also an option. But it's interesting messaging right now, and I'm sure it's sort of frustrating for them because if you're BioWare, you have a legion of very, very devoted fans who are expecting so much from you based off of all the amazing things you've created in the past. But they're being really great about doing AMAs, and especially on Twitter. I feel like one of them is always doing
Mark
something.
Dara, or Dara? Is it Dara? Dara? I don't know. He is always on Twitter answering questions. So that's super highly appreciated. And then the last point, one of the last points here is you can play a previously completed mission with your friends, but you can't hop forward, which it sucks, but also makes sense, right? Right. And I think Gamble was like, we keep going back and forth on this. We're not sure where we're going to land yet. And I feel them like it's hard because it wouldn't make any sense
in a story, right? In
the story for them to be there. But then it also sucks when you're like, hey, I don't even care about your story. I just want to play with my friends. So it's hard. It's a hard thing to navigate.
It is. And I'm kind of at a point where, I mean, we'll obviously continue to cover Anthem, but all I know is I want this game so bad, and I'm very excited to play it since we played it at E3, Steimer and I, and it was so much fun. But I feel like the more we hear about it, it gets a little bit more confusing, and I'm sure that's just because they're trying to keep some stuff tight-lipped, and I understand. But
I think it's confusing because they are trying to toe the line of this is a BioWare game and what you are used to, but it's also not.
Right.
And I think that's where people are like, but what? Because what we know of you is so different.
Yeah.
And so when you use them as an example to pivot off of, or you use words that you've used prior, like
our
consequence.
Ears perk up. We're like banging. We're like, what?
We are like, what does this mean in relative terms? So what I do find interesting that is not in here, but they did say, so Mark and Mike were talking about how prior they said that the DLCs for things like Mass Effect and Dragon Age were a bit watered down in the sense that you could kind of do them whenever you wanted in the story. Sure. So therefore they had to make sure that the characters made sense. However, what they didn't mention, and what I would have liked to have asked, but we had to run to another appointment. So Gamble or Mark, if either of you are listening, please let us know. Does this mean it will be more along the lines of Trespasser? Because they never mentioned Trespasser, and I wanted to interrupt them and be like, Excuse me? Trespasser though, because they were like, yeah, we never have had like a DLC that's like done this thing, and I'm like, yes, you have. You had a brilliant piece of DLC called Trespasser. Did you forget?
Yeah.
Because that was probably my favorite piece of DLC from BioWare, because it did extend on the story and because the characters grew and changed and there was actual consequence depending on what you did for characters like Iron Bull. Iron Bull is a vastly different character depending on what you do, and it makes sense and it's cool. Like, that shit's cool. So if you're telling me that this game is going to have anything remotely that level of like continuation of story once this is complete, I'm down. I'm into it.
I mean, let's be real. You're already down and you're already into it.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying, like,
I get it.
Those are the kind of things that I think that they should highlight and focus on and be like, hey, we'd like to do stuff like you saw in Trespasser, in that it moved the story forward. The characters have a differing opinion based off what you've done. Like,
no, for sure. I get it. Trespasser.
Yeah.
Fuck Egghead. That bastard.
My God, Egg can die in fire.
Also worth noting, in case you missed it, story DLC for Anthem will be free. Good news.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go. And no loot boxes. There you go.
Hooray!
I mean, we all saw that coming. Moving on. Steimer and I had a moo off in our Patreon pre-show live stream. We mooed to each other back and forth many times, so I'm kind of compelled to continue that going, but she's not into it, so I won't.
I did a moo.
I missed it. It's Skype. Skype sometimes cuts you off, and it makes me sad. All right, there is a Nintendo Direct happening tomorrow, September 5th. We are recording, no, September 6th. Today is the 5th, so that was confusing. So unfortunately, we can't cover it, and if this wasn't so late in the afternoon, I would say maybe I could insert a little thing where I talk about the things that were announced, like we did with Red Dead Redemption. However, it's just not going to be possible. So
when is it happening tomorrow? It's late?
Like 3 p.m. or something. Oh. But the problem is to upload this video to YouTube, it's going to probably take at least 8 hours because my internet's kind of crappy, so I got to get on the ball. Anyway, so I can make some predictions about what we will see, and you can laugh at me when I'm wrong. So the first thing I think we're absolutely going to have to see is Nintendo Switch Online, because, Christine Steimer, this is supposed to launch this month. And we don't know anything about it, minus the price, minus the fact that we're going to get 30 NES games with online multiplayer connectivity, and there are going to be cloud saves. There might be a few other small details in there that I might not be mentioning right now, but we know close to nothing about Nintendo's online service, so I'm hoping we hear something on that tomorrow. I mean, it would make sense. I can't see them holding another Direct this month just for that alone.
Yeah. I mean, what else would they be talking about?
Well, Smash Brothers.
But they just did one, didn't they?
Yeah, but there's going to be more.
I mean, there's going to be more, but like this close?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yes. I would bet my left ovary that we're going to hear something on Smash Brothers tomorrow, be it a new stage, be it new characters.
But it's not going to be. Do you think it'll be only Smash? But
no, it's going to be no. So the Direct is it's a worldwide Direct about Switch and 3DS games. So it's covering a wide variety of things.
You are the Nintendo person. I default to you.
No, it's all good. There's room for everyone's opinion here. And I think I would like to see something about that mystery mode that we saw in the last Smash Direct, which translated into like spirits or something like that. Someone decoded it. And the thought is that this is going to be the single player experience. I really freaking hope so.
How much are you going to like lose your shit if there is no single player?
I would lose almost 99% of my shit if there was no single player mode. I would be very, very, very upset by it. I would still play the crap out of Smash Brothers, but that would just be really dumb. They're not going to do that, right? Nintendo, you wouldn't do that, would you?
I don't know. They might.
They might. No, they won't. Because I am.
I like that you're like, no, they couldn't possibly.
I am standing firm. I believe in you, Nintendo. Sometimes you make very strange decisions, but I love you regardless. So please don't let me down. You're not going to let me down. I believe in you. Bayonetta 3 is something we haven't seen of in a long time. And I really like. Have you played?
I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. It was premiered. Gosh, I think it was the Game Awards 2017.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
And I don't know if we've seen anything since then. At least I haven't heard anything since then. So Bayonetta 3, there's going to be, I think, some Pokemon stuff. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu.
Snooze.
Oh, Steimer, you're killing me.
I know. I'm sorry. I just want the new Pokemon.
I gotta wait for that though. This is.
I am waiting. This is me sitting here waiting.
Gotta wait longer, baby girl. There is a the director Pokemon is meeting up, and there's some Japanese television show. I don't really know the details. All I know, he's making an appearance on it to talk about Pokemon on September 9th, I think it is. So we might not hear a lot
soon.
Yeah, so we don't hear a lot tomorrow. There's a chance we'll hear more then, but I still think we'll see something tomorrow. Mario Party Switch is coming out next month, and I feel like we should probably learn a little bit more about that. So I expect that to make an appearance. I know Luigi's Mansion on 3DS will be there. Yay.
Put it on the Switch.
Just let the 3DS die gracefully. And it is. It is dying gracefully. It just...
Or, like, put them on both.
put it on both. But we talked about this. Finally,
the
pipe dream, Animal Crossing on Switch. It's a thing
don't think they would do that in a direct. They would wait.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have Nintendo. No,
here's my batshit crazy prediction. It's gonna be the Game Awards, and it's gonna be Chrissy Teigen coming out on stage to announce Animal Crossing for Switch.
Okay, until because that was an E3 prediction of ours, and clearly that didn't happen. So every convention that comes down the pike, if Animal Crossing hasn't been announced, it's eventually gonna happen. So after the Game Awards, it'll be what, PAX East? No, I guess that wouldn't.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Chrissy Teigen will make her appearance. Anyway, I think we'll probably see something from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torna, and Yoshi. But those are my little Britstradamus predictions.
Ooh,
you like that?
I like it.
I liked it. Thanks, Steimer. Is there anything that you would like to see besides
No.
Pokemon? No, you don't.
I want the new Pokemon. I would like more of their 3DS games on my Switch. And that's pretty much it for now. I mean, I'm always one of those people that especially for the Switch, I never know what I want, but Nintendo just tells me.
They just give it to
you. And it's nice. They're like, here's the thing. And I'm like, yeah, that'll do.
That'll do just great.
Yeah.
Also Pipe Dream, which I don't think we'll see this during the Direct. I want to see something about the N64 Classic. Or rumors a Game Boy Classic, like the NES, Super NES.
Wait, how do you make the Game Boy smaller?
Well, I mean, the Game Boy is bigger than the classic little systems right now. So
I know, but like making it smaller, the screen would be stupid.
Wait, the thing you plug into the TV? It doesn't matter if it's
Game
small.
Boy?
A Game Boy Classic, like an NES Classic, Super NES Classic.
Yeah, but I don't think of a Game Boy as a thing I plug into a TV. I think of a Game Boy as a thing that I want to function on its own.
You never had
because that's how the Game Boy worked.
You never had a Super Game Boy. But I don't believe any of those announcements were ever made during a Direct. So probably not going to happen.
Doubt it.
Anyway. Well, this is all for naught because I don't know what the hell is going to happen. But hopefully I'll get
Nobody does.
Right. Nobody knows.
They do. The people who work at Nintendo do. But
I know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap up our news section, aka segment 1. Stay with us. We have some Spidey action to talk about next segment. We've been playing a lot of it. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the What's Good Games podcast. This episode is also brought to you by Stitch Fix.
Yes, indeed it is. So, Stitch Fix, for those of you who do not know, is an online personal styling service that finds and delivers clothes, shoes, and accessories to fit your body, budget, and lifestyle. So just go to stitchfix.com/whatsgood, tell them your sizes, what styles you like, and how much you'd like to spend on each item. You'll be paired with your very own personal stylist who will handpick 5 items to send right to your door. Then you try them on, pay only for what you want to, only for what you love, and then you get to return the rest. So shipping, exchanges, and returns are always free. There's no subscription required. So you can sign up to receive scheduled shipments or get your fix whenever you want. Stitch Fix's styling fee is only $20, which is applied towards anything you get to keep from your shipment. So Brittany, you just got your first Stitch Fix in, so maybe now your closet, which is currently full of nothing but video game t-shirts, hopefully that will get a nice little upgrade. Tell us what you got.
Yeah, so Steimer and Andrea were just over last week, and they saw my closet, and like she said, it's full of video game t-shirts and tank tops, which, hey, I love, clearly, because I have a closet full of them. However, when it comes to actual shopping for what some would deem fashionable clothes, I have no clue what I'm looking for. So Stitch Fix sent me some really cute, like maroonish jeans that if I had seen them in a store, I wouldn't have picked them out for myself. But because they sent them, I was like, okay, I'll try them. They're a little higher cut. And I was like, we'll see. Tried them on, love them. Sent some really cute heels, shoes that What? I know, that's what I'm saying. And so I kept those 2 things, and then the other 3 things I just wasn't super sure about. So it's nice because they send you a prepaid bag, just to put all your stuff back in, and you ship it right back, and then you're done with it. And then they charge you, like she said, for the things that you want to keep. I love it. It's very convenient for me because I walk into a store and I'm like, what is all of this? I don't know what's hip these days.
Fashion can be extremely intimidating because it's changing all of the time. You don't necessarily know what looks good on your body type. Like there's just so many factors. So yeah, I love that there was something in there that you were like, I would have never in a million years picked this, but I actually really like it. So if you are curious about Stitch Fix, I can't speak. Get started right now at stitchfix.com/what's good, and you'll get an extra 25% off when you keep all 5 items in your box. So that is stitchfix.com/what's good to get started today. stitchfix.com/what's good.
Woohoo! All right. We are going to be talking about Marvel's Spider-Man because we have been playing Marvel Spider-Man. Huge shout out to PlayStation. Thank you for providing the review code for us. We have thoroughly enjoyed it. All right, Steimer.
Yes.
Lay it on me, baby girl.
Spider-Man.
I've
just been really enjoying my time with this game. I've played it.
Oh, this will all be spoiler free, by the way.
Yes. I'm not going to tell you anything that you wouldn't want to know, hopefully. But so I've been playing this for the past 2 days straight, pretty much. I actually moved my flight up from Seattle back here so that I would have more time with it. And I got to say, money well spent. Like, it's been really sort of relaxing in a nice way because the way you swing through the city, the way he is animated, and he's just so kind of carefree about it. Like, he's just doing flips on his own as he's going through. And you're like, yeah, no big deal. Just swinging through Manhattan. This is cool. So there's definitely that I like. I like the combat a lot. I think I'm still personally getting used to using the gadgets that he has. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, so I like the traversal. I like the combat. I'm really digging the story, which obviously we won't talk about really. But I really like the characters in it, and I particularly enjoy. So it's not really a spoiler. MJ's in the game, but I really like what they've done with the relationship between Peter and MJ. Mm-hmm. My voice like slightly went out at the very end of that sentence. It was weird. Peter and MJ.
Yeah, So I've talked about this on this show numerous times. I wasn't sure how I would like Spider-Man. I'm not the biggest superhero fan. I know close to nothing about Spider-Man lore, and games that take place in cities tend to lose me. However, I was completely knocked off guard. Is that the saying?
Caught off guard?
Thank you. I wasn't knocked off anything. I was caught off guard by how much I'm enjoying this game. It's the kind of game that I wake up early to play, and the kind of game I think about before I fall asleep. I just want to keep playing it. And I am collecting everything, which I usually hate collecting in video games. It feels unnecessary. But in this game, I like doing all the side activities because I feel like you learn more about Peter Parker by doing so. You know, if every time you collect something, he has a fun little quip, or there's some lore tidbit that's thrown in there that you're like, oh, that's really interesting. I just learned something new about this universe I'm exploring. And I very well could platinum this game, which would be my very first platinum. Like, I don't know what happened. I did not see this coming. I never saw it coming. And swinging through the city, like you said, it's just so fun. And it took me, I would say like a couple minutes to get used to it. And then you kind of get down with the rhythm of it. And then before you know it, you're just soaring through, you're diving, you're chasing pigeons everywhere.
Oh God, the pigeons. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I will say I've sometimes hit like a little like some snafus with the traversal, only in that I find it overcorrect sometimes. Like I'm like, oh, I want to go there, but then you're like, shit, like I accidentally like did the thing where you boost off and then you're like headed in an opposite direction. So you're like, gotta turn the ship around. It's never a big deal, but I definitely find moments where I'm like, damn it, Peter.
That's not what you're supposed to do.
That's not where I told you to go. It's not where I want you to be. Be over here. Just land. Just get to the ground.
Yeah, and the city is so beautiful. This game is so beautiful. I don't know. I was not expecting any of this. Even the attention to detail when you're climbing a skyscraper and you can see inside the building. Now, granted, there's like 4 or 5 different reused levels that are designs that they use for the rooms inside the building, but you can see through the glass and see these rooms, and it's just little details like that that's just like, holy crap, they went there. You know, they could have very well just put a glossy window tint or something, but they actually took the time to put rooms in there. And those are the kind of things I pay attention to, and it's just yeah.
No, it's nice. And I haven't been super following it, but I guess I've been like sort of seeing rumblings on Twitter of people talking about people said the graphics looked bad or something, and I was kind of confused by that.
Are you talking about Puddlegate?
I don't know. The puddle is just stupid, but no, I thought there was more, but I also didn't want to dig into it because I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have this game and it looks fine. I'm also playing on the PS4 Pro, and I think you are as well, right?
I am, yeah.
So I don't know if there's like any issues with it on anything else, but
I haven't. No, I thought the game looks beautiful, and I'm going to New York this weekend, actually, so it's pretty cool to be playing this right now. I mean, I know it's not like a first-scale city, whatever. Anyway, but what I will say is I have noticed frame rate issues with my game. Have you seen that too?
Barely. Yeah, it's only in certain moments. It's not a thing that's happening all the time.
And
for me.
It doesn't happen when it shouldn't happen. So, for example, when you're gliding through the city, like there's no frame rate drops for me when I'm doing that, which I feel like is the best place to not have frame rate drops because I feel like you get dizzy real quick. That's always smooth as butter. It's usually when I'm on the ground, if I'm in Central Park or something, and there's a bunch of trees around, or if there's a bunch of animations happening. I will say, for how much this game has going on with it, I'm surprised at how well it runs. I mean, it's crazy.
I've only run into a couple of bugs, and they were mostly just minor annoyances versus anything crazy. Like, I think I texted you this. I was like, oh my God, Peter won't shut up about this one side mission that I completed, but he's still acting as though he hasn't done it. So he just keeps repeating like this line of dialogue. And I was about to lose my fucking mind. I was just like, shut up. Shut up, Peter.
No one cares.
But like, that was the only like super noticeable thing. The other things that I have sort of like run into that, again, I don't know if they were, I was talking with Greg about it because he's also the only other person that I know that's beaten the game. And I was like, this particular fight felt long to me. Did you have that experience? And he was like, no. I was like, I just ran out of things to throw at this person. I was like, oh, weird. I had plenty. So like, I don't know if that was like a weird glitch or something, because I just found myself dodging like a maniac. I was just dodging constantly. And I was like, what is happening? I need something to throw at you.
Can I please throw something at you, sir?
I have expended all of my gadgets and there's nothing left in this room.
Now you just make friends and thumb wrestle.
Yeah, but otherwise, for the most part, pacing combat-wise has been fine, I've found. It does obviously have strong Batman vibes, which I dig.
Me too.
Especially when you're perched up and you kind of like web a guy and tie him up. I'm like, hells yeah, I just want to run around and do this all the time. But then also, I feel like I enjoy punching people in this game more than I did in Batman.
Oh yeah, it's very visceral, right? The thuds and the thumps and the way the controller vibrates when you land that finishing blow. That's what she said. I find
myself less frustrated. I still have moments of frustration because everybody screws up the thing and you're like, grr, grr. But I do feel like I have been less frustrated with Peter than I am with Bruce at times. Like I remember being fucking livid and like not really mastering, being able to do the combos right for some reason. Like I always just felt like Batman was super hard even on normal. I don't know why. But I'm playing Spider-Man on normal, and there have been a couple times where I've died. Not gonna lie, but I'm not dying all the time.
Yeah, the combos seem intuitive. I feel like they make sense. You know, circle to dodge or slide under, then you push square, and then you hold square to knock them up in the air, and it's like, yeah, I know what I'm gonna do, and it just makes sense. Something I want to go back on real quick is that if you read at least a lot of the reviews, actually I did read these Spider-Man reviews, so I know I just said earlier, I can't remember the last time I read a review, but I did, or maybe it was on Twitter I read this.
You already forgot it.
I think, actually, you know what, I think it was on Twitter that I was reading like the tweet to the review, but a lot of people are saying this game is awesome and it's wonderful and it's one of the greatest, if not the best superhero game ever made. By far, it's not perfect though, and I think that's worth mentioning. I guess, and the reason I think, at least I know why I'm holding it to such a critical standard, is because I feel like the game of your discussion, it's Red Dead, it's God of War, it's Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
And so,
well, don't forget about Tomb Raider and some other things.
Well, no, I'm talking for like the top 3, like the top.
Yeah.
Like, I love Tomb Raider, and I might enjoy it more than some of the other games I've played. But I'm talking like an overall Game of the Year contenders.
In terms of buzz, those are the main 3 that people have been talking about.
Of buzz, like personal Game of the Year, completely and totally different. But
sure,
when you're talking about from like a critic's standpoint or whatever, anyway, Spider-Man does have some issues that, again, I know this game is doing so much, and so this isn't a big knock on it at all, because like I said, this probably is going to be the first game I platinum because I love everything about it so much. But just like little things, like little animations, you know, if you save civilians who are trapped under a car and an EMT pulls up, at least in my game, almost every time the characters who are coming out of the ambulance, they freeze momentarily and then they skate across to the accident, which is like, again, not a big deal breaker, but I think I'm just looking at this from such a critical perspective because it is kind of like, you know, Game of the Year contender, which I can totally see, and I think it definitely belongs to be there. There are multiple lines of dialogue that I've heard so many times I kind of want to rip my hair out.
Yep. I think that's the danger whenever you get to a world that
large.
That's big.
They can't possibly
and that dense.
Record millions of different lines, because I understand, like, that's just not a reasonable thing to do, and it's just something you kind of expect, like you said, when you play a game this large. And I mean, there, like I said, some technical hiccups. It sounds like Steimer's had a few bugs. So again, I think just take that with a grain of Steimer, because this game is doing so many things so well that it's just, when you have a game this large, it's just one of those things you just kind of write off.
Yeah, and I'll say I won't talk about specifics in the story, but I will say I have so far enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed what they've done with the missions very much. It breaks it up in a great way. I'm trying to be so vague that I feel like I'm saying nothing, but hopefully that makes somewhat sense. And the character development is great. The people they introduce are great. It's acted beautifully. Those situations are always animated very well. I will say, like, to your point, I think a lot of the side missions are they're definite, like, I'll say C squad. They're not even B squad. Like, because sometimes their lips won't move, like, because I'll have that bug where it's just like them standing there and they're theoretically talking, and then it'll catch up and then their mouth moves really fast. I avoid most of the crime things. They just tick me off. Like, I just don't like the idea of every radio call me needing to go do something, because fuck you, that's why. And I haven't done like almost any of the ones you're talking about. I haven't experienced like the ambulance thing, because like literally every time I have is like, whatever, peace. I only do those when I need them. So here's if you don't really know much about the game in terms of how you upgrade, because obviously it's a Spider-Man game. You swing around the city and you you fight crime. So the map is laid out, and like as you progress, different things will be added to your map. So things like bases, or things like collectibles, or like I've mentioned, the radio calls for crime. And every time you do one of these things, you get a token. And there's 5, 6?
Yeah, about that. Somewhere around
5 to 6. I don't remember the exact number. Different types of tokens. And when you unlock suits, you'll need certain amounts of these tokens in order to craft them, in order to craft upgrades and the suit in general. So that's kind of how it works. These missions also give you XP, which levels you up. As Spider-Man levels up, you have skill points that you then put into a skill tree. I'm level 41, and I have maxed out 2 trees.
Hot damn, girl. You're much farther than I am.
And I think I maxed out. If I haven't maxed out 2, I've definitely maxed out 1, and I'm very close to maxing out the 2nd, and I have a decent amount on the 3rd. So like at some point I'll have all of the things if I keep playing this game.
Yeah, it's nice because you're incentivized to go and collect all of the things that you can. And playing this game has made me wish that I knew more about Spider-Man than I do. Because when I see little things, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I bet that means a lot to Spider-Man fans. And, oh, I bet when they see this, they're going to lose their shit. And I'm kind of incentivized to start learning some of my Spidey lore. But I know there's so much. It would take me forever.
Yeah, I've definitely had to. I know a little bit about Spider-Man, but I had to like Google some people and be like, wait, who are you? What's your deal?
Why are you relevant to this story?
Yes. I really do want to do a spoiler cast, though, because I really want to talk about the way they handle some of the things. Because I think the way that they do, I think the beginning of the story, the pacing wise, it's kind of, here's how it goes. It's like the beginning is a nice little like jog. You're going like 5 miles an hour. And then it kind of ramps slowly. And then I feel like this end is just, you're going at like 12 on the fucking treadmill.
You're about to fall off. You're like frantically.
You're just like, oh my God. But like not in a bad way. Like it's a good thing. Like I think that what they're doing is really interesting. And I think the way they've crafted the missions makes it interesting too. Yeah.
I love this game so much, but that's probably all we can really say before we, I mean, unless there's anything else you want to say about it. But I mean, I feel like we've given this our WGG seal bando of approval. For sure. I think if you enjoy superhero games, if you liked the Batman series, but maybe it was a little dark outside for your liking, Spider-Man should be right up your alley because it's not always daytime, but you actually do see the sun in this game, which is nice. See the sun.
A nice change of pace. Oh, this is a super minor thing, but I just want to bitch about it for a second. So occasionally I will land in the water.
Oh, gosh.
Spider-Man becomes a goddamn, like, just a bump on a log. Like, he somehow doesn't know how to maneuver in the water. I get it. He's Spider-Man. He's not Aquaman. Sure. But, like, know how to swim, Peter Parker.
No. The swimming
move your ass.
The swimming is real bad. He barely
He's not even swimming. He's like, it's so... That's, to me, is like the most annoying thing in the game because you knew there's water there. You knew I would probably accidentally land in it. And therefore, make him just fucking swim. Just make him swim.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but why can't you have to web yourself out? But if there's nothing nearby for you to web out, because I have sometimes fallen far from things, then you have to slowly swim your ass near enough, and then you can web yourself out, and then you're fine.
That's just that's a really funny visual for me. I could just see you like swinging from a skyscraper, and then holy shitting and landing like 100 yards into the water, and having to slowly swim
You're just like
back.
slowly fucking paddling. Even in Central Park, I was like, for whatever reason, the game wasn't highlighting things that I could web to, and so I was just like, motherfucker. Like I had to just slowly swim in this stupid pond. And I was so annoyed. I was like, come on, guys. Like, you've done this all beautifully except for this one part, and it's pissing me off. And I'm so mad.
It's a good sign if that's the number one complaint, right?
I have other complaints, but they are so story. Like, I did the thing to Greg that I did to you, and I'm just like, blah! Like, here's my thoughts on the story. Because I have thoughts.
You have thoughts and feelings. And damn it, Steimer, you are entitled to them. We have a couple Dear WGG patron questions. The first one comes from Brian Gann, which rhymes with and, because he finally corrected us. I mean, he's corrected us before, but we've gotten his name wrong a lot. Sorry, Brian. Brian says, it's Spider-Man week, and with it comes the expected high review scores and critical praise. All the glowing positivity was easily predicted, but that ease is actually the crux of my question. Do you believe knowing certain games will most likely be received really well and way in advance take off any surprise, no matter how slight, from the experience? Thanks again for taking my question, if you do, and have a wonderful day.
To me, no, because it's always, every time a game grabs me and the way that it does, like in God of War after my ear infection cleared. And
that's right. She was like, it's okay.
I was like, this is a good game, but like, what is everyone losing their shit about? And then I continued to play it and was like, oh. And I think even Spider-Man has been kind of this way for me. I'm like, this is a good game. But as you've mentioned, like the world, you're going to feel samey, right? It's a very formulaic open world that we've seen before. So take that as it is. But what they've done with the story, I think, is sort of similar for me in God of War, in that, like, yeah, story starts out nice, and then like it just dials it up, and which is really nice. Sorry, I feel like I've said nice too many times, but that's okay.
It's good. Take a shower. She says nice.
Ooh, a shower would be good, but
shot, not shower.
Oh,
take a shower every time. I gotta pause the podcast, take another shower.
That would be a massive waste of water.
I gotta take a shower. It's my 8th shower of the hour.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
But yeah, so for me, I think it's always a pleasant surprise whenever any game grabs me in the way that Spider-Man has. And I was just thinking about it at work all day today. I was like, I just want to go home and see what's going on with Peter. I like check in with him and make sure he's doing okay. And God of War was similar, right? Where when I got to that point, I was like, all I want to do is play this game. And that's not every game for me. So yes, I understand that like this game was always probably going to get really great review scores, but that doesn't necessarily mean it resonates with you as a player. And especially for you, Britt, I know you were kind of like,
I was totally, it's the moo off, about Spider-Man, like I just talked about a little while ago. So for a game like this, I was like, okay, it's going to be a good game. Andrea has said it's going to be a good game. She had played some of it before, and both of you played at E3, and I know all of us were like, I was like, Resident Evil 2 game of show. You're like, Spider-Man or Anthem?
I said Anthem.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. That completely ignore everything I just said. Either
but Spider-Man was obviously up there.
Yeah. So for me, I trusted the opinions of my colleagues and my friends. So I went into it with the expectation that it would be somewhat enjoyable. So I was talking to Jason about this before I started playing. I said, this is the kind of game I'm going to play for 4 hours and be done with it, or I'm going to become super duper obsessed with. And thankfully, it's become the latter. I think with God of War, I was also excited for that one, obviously, but I had never really been a God of War fan leading up to that. So even though everyone was saying it's going to be so great, it's going to be so wonderful, like Steimer said, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to resonate with you. Grand Theft Auto 5, supposed to be a wonderful, fantastic game. I cannot get into it for the life of me. Same with the games like Metal Gear Solid games. So it just depends, right?
Yeah, just because it's critically acclaimed doesn't mean that it's going to float everyone's boat.
Flip everyone's
It just means that
sharpens
it means that a lot of the critics can appreciate the effort and the results that the developers got. It doesn't mean that everybody will find it enjoyable to play.
Mm-hmm. And I think most of the surprise comes from story, character things. So
yeah, which is why we've been like incredibly vague.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's a lot of like really fun surprise and delight moments.
Oh yeah. Next question comes from Nick. I just finished the Spider-Man book Hostile Takeover by David Liss, which, by the way, is the official prequel to Marvel's Spider-Man. And I must say, I really enjoyed it. I was surprised it was not just a short comic, but rather a full-fledged book. 333 pages, if you're wondering.
Wow.
I was also surprised in the amount of detail about the story the book covers, which leads me to wonder how the game will handle some of the more important story plots. I would assume they would be revisited in some capacity via flashbacks, conversations, etc. This leads me to my questions. Did you like it, the book? Have not read it, but I am kind of curious to go back and read it. And again, that's called The Hostile Takeover by David Liss. And number 2, how do you feel in general about the story of a game basically starting before the game is even released, considering how many people will only play the game? That's kind of confusing. But what he's saying is, how do you feel about information regarding a game being out before the game release in form of books, comics, TV series, film, etc.?
I'm fine with it because they're obviously not going to spoil what happens in the game, because if they did, that would be real weird. And it's just like, that is optional content. If you want to partake in it, I think it's great that it's there. It's just going to build hype. It's going to build you. It's going to like build that relationship with you in this world, because there are so many different versions of Spider-Man that I don't blame them for being like, no, this is our Spider-Man. This is how all of this went down. And so I haven't read this either, so I can't speak to any of this, but I will say, not knowing anything about it, I'm still enjoying the game. And not being a super Spider-Man fan, I obviously know like a little bit about it, but I don't think I've ever read any Spider-Man comics. I've read some Batmans, Teen Titans, like that kind of stuff, but I never really got into Marvel comics very much. So I will say, if you aren't and you're like, I'm not sure if I should pick it up, if you just want to have like a fun superhero game, like this is definitely it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that also falls on the game to make sure that, like with Spider-Man, we didn't even know there's an official prequel out there in the form of a book.
Nope, had no idea.
I will say a game like Final Fantasy 15 that had the Kingsglaive movie that released before the game, and watching that movie made the game make so much more sense. I feel like that's kind of when it becomes an issue.
Yeah, you need to still tell the story well in the game. Like it shouldn't give you an excuse to be like, well, if you'd watch this thing, then you would get it. Like, no, that's bullshit.
Right.
I paid for your game. Tell me a story that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can expand on it, and you can do whatever you want in the Outer Realms and like allude to things. That's fine. But don't do that.
Yeah, I think the more content, the better, as long as it, like Steimer said, is optional and it's not required reading. And, you know, my Final Fantasy 15 example, I've talked about this at length, how it's not the best at the storytelling. It was all convoluted, and now there's the Royal Edition, which finally has all the extra chapters and things. That's an example of how not to do it. But with this, I think this is perfectly fine.
Yeah, this seems like optional content that is truly optional. And if you want to, you know, dive into the world of Spider-Man because you fucking love Spider-Man, go do it. Get on with your bad self.
Get on with your bad self. All right. We have one more segment to go in this podcast, and it's going to be all about PAX West. What we did, what we played, our party, all of the good things. And we have some Turbo patrons to read. Woo woo. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the What's Good Games podcast. We're going to talk all about PAX here in just a few minutes, but first, we have some Turbo patrons to read off. Steimer and I are going to do the coordinated thing of switching off the names. See how this goes, how many names we butcher. You ready for this? You ready for this?
Sure.
Oh my god, we're going to do it. Aaron Saxon.
Adrian A-Rock Williams.
Alberto Videla.
Alex Rigopoulos.
Amar Dillon.
Andrew Susan.
Anthony Murphy.
Aurelia Furman.
Ash Volcane.
Bill Stillwell.
Billy Shipley.
Brian Harper.
Brooke Laree. Asia Harris. Love you.
Carl Peterson.
Kathy Lucas. Calf Dog.
Chandler.
Cool Rat Daddy.
Christian Rodriguez.
Dale Sun.
David Icolucci.
Dominic Weller.
Donato Sinaccio.
Yeah, you gotta put some heart into it. Sinicio.
Sinicio the Third.
Dustin Lewis.
E. Benjamin Chenekis.
E. Irizarry.
Elizabeth. I don't know.
Sorry, sir.
Elizabeth Brooke.
Oh, ma'am. Elmo Shell.
Emily Kent.
Ferris Atier.
Flying Saucer Media.
Geek Heart Games.
Gio Corsi.
Gregory Horton.
Ivan Bejarano.
Jared Howard.
Jason Davis.
Jesslyn Erickson.
Jay Mahui.
Jason Demars.
Jennifer McNichol.
Jesse Spencer.
Jessica Southbury.
Joe
Kennison.
Joe Schleif.
John Drake.
Kevin Dunkel.
Kevin Kamaki.
Kia B.
Kyle Heyman.
Leviathan Masters Barella.
Lewis Creech.
Lincoln Davis.
Lucas Cheney.
Marcus Brown.
Mark Trastrup.
Martha Emery.
Martin T. Esserud.
Matt Howell.
Matthew Goder.
Melanthius. I'm so sorry.
Melanthius? Yeah, I guess.
Badass Owens.
Michael Shadle.
Muhammad Fahi Muhammad.
Molly Bettner.
Nam Bui.
Nicole Humphrey.
Ozzy Bachia.
Paige Porter.
Pete Shoemaker.
Professor Metal Gear.
Oh God, I love this one. Pure Blue Octopus. Blah, 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 blah.
R.J. Bryan.
Regan Impson.
Ripped Gamers.
Robert Herrero.
Roland Bala.
Ross Haney.
Ryan B.
Sam.
Shane Room.
Simon Bergstedt. Sorry.
Sion Stevenson.
Steph Wu.
Stephanie Fitzwilliam.
Steven Insler.
Sydney Carr.
Tara Bruno.
Teresa Einert.
Timothy Bennett.
Tommy Larson.
Tony Han.
Trent Pennington.
Trevor Snacky.
Joyce Bradlin.
Tyler McCall.
Ferret Tanuda.
Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Zach Hershey. Thank you all so much for all of your support on Patreon. We can't say it enough. We cannot do what we do without you. Now,
that is.
We were going to do a dramatic reading by Christine Steimer here because she had found a novel, if you will, that she wrote as a wee lass. However, I think we're going to hold on to that.
That's got to be like a secret segment or something because it's a lot. It's not short.
Oh, really?
This is not like 5 words to a page. This is like some serious shit.
See, because when I wrote stories back in the day, I just took some printer paper and I stapled the pages together and I chicken scratched on like 5 pieces of paper, and that was my story.
So most of my stories were like 2 sentences a page. This one's not like those.
Oh.
This one was like a project of some kind. And it's called, just to like whet your appetite a little bit, it's called There's a Puma in My Closet. So yeah, I guess I feel like we should probably just do like a secret segment on it or a Patreon exclusive video on it or something.
Oh my gosh. I want to know, like, why the fuck is there a puma in your closet?
So some context, Pumas were our soccer team mascot.
Oh, right. Okay.
So.
Well, I am very intrigued and I cannot wait to learn more. I am on the edge of my seat, Steimer.
Yes.
All right. So
I will probably need you and like Andrea to help me read some of the voices too.
Can I do Muppet voice? Oh, that hurts me right to my core. Oh, my heartstrings.
This is a serious business reading, and I would appreciate it if you would take it seriously.
My Muppet voice. What's wrong with my Muppet voice? Oh wait, there's a puma in my closet. Oh my god, now I'm a British.
Wait, now you're a British Muppet.
Oh god, we're going off the rails. Okay.
Oh no. Jump! Hit the jump button.
Hit the jump. So, like we said, PAX West was this past weekend. We had an absolutely wonderful time. We played a lot of games. But
we did.
Before we get to the games we played, Jake has a question for us, Christine said.
Okay, Jake.
What's good, Britt and Steimer? Now that PAX is over, could you share with us what was the best thing about PAX and make me feel bad about not going?
The best thing about PAX was clearly our party with Square Enix for Life is Strange Dose.
That was so much fun. Yeah, so if you didn't know, if you have been living under a very large rock, we partnered up with Square Enix and Don't Nod to throw a Life is Strange 2 meetup at the Unicorn. We rented the whole place out, and it was an awesome turnout and so much fun. It was just, I love doing that. I think it's by far my favorite convention thing we've ever done. Not in the community meetups we'll randomly host at these conventions.
Yes.
That was awesome. Also, our panel on Sunday was really fun, too. That was a good time.
We had a lot of fun, yeah.
We had so much fun. Some people were laughing until they cried. That's what they told us anyway. Maybe that was an ego boost, but I'll take it.
I'll take it, too.
I was feeling a little off that day because it was 10 a.m. on the 3rd day of PAX. Was it the 3rd day? 3rd day of PAX.
Yeah.
I had eaten something the night before that did not love me very much, and I did not love it back. And I was wondering, if I was going to just sit up there and drool the whole time. But thankfully, none of us
pulled
did
through.
That. None of us did it, and it was super duper fun. Overall, it was just a wonderful, wonderful PAX weekend. So, we talked a lot about these games that we played at our panel, so we're probably going to rehash some of the same stuff.
But considering that most people did not see the panel.
Exactly. Like hardly anyone relative to the people who are hopefully going to listen to this podcast saw the panel. So we will gladly go over all the things again. So I will start off with surprise Resident Evil 2. So
I go to sleep now.
No, Steimer, stay awake. I have things to tell you about poop bags.
I don't want to know about the poop bags.
But they're so interesting. So when I played this at E3, I streamed with Capcom, and therefore I got a longer demo. It was about 35 to 40 minutes, maybe-ish. And when you stream, obviously you can't play the game as you would play it when you're by yourself. So when I played with Capcom, I kind of had to go through the story beats and do the thing and actually progress toward a goal. But this demo at PAX was 15 minutes, and I told the Capcom staff, I'm like, I'm just going to sit down, and I'm not going to sit. My physical body's going to sit. But I'm going to run around in this game, and I'm going to gawk at everything. I'm going to look at everything, because that's one of the things I love about Resident Evil is the amount of attention to detail and how every room tells a story. So for the first time, I got the chance to take a look, and I was a little curious, because I know Andrea had said that she thought the game looked good, just didn't look great. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to take off my fangirl visions here, my fangirl shades, if you will, and see how it looks. I think it looks great. I wouldn't like. There's good, great, and then holy shit, amazing. I wouldn't say it looks holy
I was like, what's the Brit scale here?
I wouldn't say it looks holy shit amazing. Maybe that's in part that this game is all in the dark and there's not all these bright, vibrant colors because that's just not a Resident Evil game. Or maybe that's an excuse, a crutch I'm leaning on. Either way, the game looks great and the detail does not disappoint. So going back to this whole poop story. So in Resident Evil...
I love it for you. This is what detail means. Please proceed.
So... in Resident Evil lore, Raccoon City Police Department is kind of the last stand of the survivors in the city, the last unified stand. And in Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation, you kind of get a sense of that, but obviously there are technical limitations, and all the backgrounds were just sort of like pre-rendered. You couldn't really interact with them, blah, blah, blah. But in this game, obviously, times have changed. And so you see little things everywhere that remind you that this really was a last stand for a lot of people, and this is things did not go well, and you can see the desperation that happened there. So I walked into the mayor's media room. I think it's the chief, one or the other. There's a media room in this building, and it's where all the press conferences were happening. And of course, in the middle, there's a very badly fucked up body, and there's a blood trail leading like from a door it came from. But if you look in the corners of the room, you can see garbage bags piled almost ceiling high, and then you see these little tiny little bags next to said garbage bags that look like little doggy poop bags. And I know what these look like because I have a dog and he poops a lot. And I'm like, oh, I know what's in those bags, because there's also toilet paper right outside the hallway. And putting all these little pieces together, I'm like, yes, you are telling me a story, and I appreciate it. What, Steimer?
I mean, I feel like you might be giving them a lot of credit for putting some toilet paper in a hallway and some
and you're not,
poop bags on the floor.
You're not wrong. And it probably means a lot more to me because I know what happens in this game, and I know the items they specifically chose to put perfectly aligns with the game and the story. And you can tell there was a lot of thought that went into the item placement, at least from what
like, you know what? They gotta poop a lot. We get those men some toilet paper, get them some dog style poop bags, and you're gonna shit in a bag and you're gonna put it on the floor.
Right. And
in someone's office? Where was this?
It was like a mayor's media briefing room, or the chief's media briefing room, somewhere where this shouldn't be. But again, desperation does weird things. And granted, I've only seen a very, very, very small piece of this game. The opening, maybe 30 minutes max. So maybe as the further I go, if I continue to see poop-filled dog bags and toilet paper everywhere, it's going to get old real quick. And I'm going to be like, okay, I was jumping the gun a little bit. But I am going to put a Brit filter on it and remain very optimistic that the level of detail will continue to shine throughout the rest of the levels in the game. I
mean, I can't wait for you to tell me more stories about the next room that you see that has
a story with
has fucking canned tuna in it, and next to that there's some peanut butter or some shit. I don't know. Like, tell me the story of what this means.
But that means, okay, do you not care about those details? Because I really care about those details.
I, honest to God, don't. I'm like, cool, like there's toilet paper.
Okay, so maybe that's the root of this, is because I really care about those details a lot, because I like to look at everything and kind of get the feel of the room, like what happened here, and that's probably why I'm really nitpicky about a lot of things I shouldn't be nitpicky about when it comes to details in games.
That's fair. You're allowed to do that.
But I could talk about this all day, but we have a lot more to get to. We also, Steimer and I, played a lot of games together. One of those was Boyfriend Dungeon. Andrea also played this,
yes.
But she is not here, so. Tell me
so Boyfriend Dungeon is the world's greatest game. So this is a dungeon crawler dating sim hybrid, which I'm always down with. And the premise is that, similar to Hatoful Boyfriend, where you're dating a pigeon, but it's not really a pigeon, it's also sort of a dude. You are dating your weapons, but they are also people. So they just have like a weird tick where they turn into a sword every now and then you use them to stab enemies, and that's cool. They seem down with it. So the characters that we saw, there was a lady that was daggers, a hot dude with flowing hair that was a scimitar.
Thunder.
I think that's
yeah, I think that was him.
And then there was the other guy who, what was he? Was he just like a regular sword? I've already forgotten because I didn't use him.
I only saw the 2 people. I saw the daggers and Sunder, the guy with the black flowy hair.
Yeah, those are the only 2 people I saw.
Oh, the other guy. Yeah, I don't know what he turned into. I remember who you're talking about now. The guy.
I don't remember. There were 3 like main people you could start, I think, romancing, and then somewhat somewhere throughout the demo, which is pretty short, it's like 15 minutes. You ran into a different type of weapon. It was like a power sword, and he comes out and he's like, "Hey, thanks for releasing me," like genie style. And then he's like, "By the way, want to get a coffee sometime? Wink." And I was like, "Hell yeah, I do, because you're a power sword, and that's fucking cool." And I appreciate multiple things about this game. Number 1, you can romance whoever you want.
Right.
So no one's going to get mad that you're talking to other people. Everyone, it's very open here. They do not care. It's also very relationship open in the sense that sounded exactly what I just said. But what I mean by that is like there's different types of relationships. Like there are ladies you can romance. There are dudes. Like you have your choice. You got lots of pickings. Do what you want to do.
Go on with your bad self.
So then, go on with your bad self. Even though it's called Boyfriend Dungeon, there are girlfriends as well. And then how the other element that you kind of need to sort of strategize about is whether or not you want to semi-commit to one and level it up and get a super powerful weapon, because that's how your weapons level up, is by you going on dates with them. You could either do that, or you could sort of play the field a little bit and have an arsenal of like medium powerful weapons, but you've spread out the love. And also like during the dungeon crawling aspects, you will run into things. So it looks like kind of you're in a mall. And as you go through, so there was like an ice cream shop, there was a fountain. You can select one of your weapons to bring out and to go on a date with there. So like you go on dates with them outside of the combat scenario as well, but you can also like go on mini dates with them in the dungeon.
Yeah, you do. It's fun. It kind of has, I don't want to compare it to Persona because it's nothing like Persona, but the sense that you have the day to talk to whatever sword you want and engage in that conversation. And then I don't know if it was just for the demo's sake, but after I had that one conversation with Sunder, I had to go to the mall and I had to fight some things. And
that was just, I think that was the demo possibly.
Yeah.
Because I had the same thing. I had one conversation with the daggers lady, and then I went to the mall immediately because there was something else to do.
Yeah, it could be, or it could be that they don't want you talking to all of your boyfriends/girlfriends/partners and leveling them all up because you're wooing them. I
imagine, there'll be some sort of a limit to that because, yes, otherwise you'd be like, I'll just level up everybody immediately. You need to make that choice in this game. There are consequences for your actions, if you will.
I will. This game is being developed by Kit Fox Games, and it is coming out in 2019.
I'm excited. I think it looks cool. I like the concept of it a lot. So I can't wait to see more. They wouldn't say anything, but I really do hope that eventually this game comes to Switch because I think it would be perfect for it.
It really would. I feel like a lot of games would be perfect for Switch.
Pretty much anything in that indie mega booth.
Yeah.
I was like, can you just make these all for Switch? Like, can a Nintendo representative just please come walk around and pick up all of these games? Thanks, bye.
Please, thank you. All right, I'm going to quickly touch on some of the games I played again. So I played Devil May Cry 5, also at the Capcom booth. This game is coming out March of 2019. And I had a good time. I was playing on baby mode. I think it's called auto lock, or not auto lock. There's a mode where it makes it easier for you to pull off combos. This is the first time I've actually played a Devil May Cry game. The last time I played it was on PlayStation 2, and that was for maybe 15 minutes before I WTF'd and walked away for some reason. So I can't really speak to you about it as a Devil May Cry fan, because honestly, all I was doing was all I knew is I had one arm, and then I was getting new arms, and I was sending those arms off at bad guys, and I was mashing buttons. But it was very fun to play, and Steimer Nero is hot.
Hot, hot, hot.
Hot, hot, hot. He's
diggity dog.
He's over the top. He's super sassy, and it definitely kind of has that cheesy. It's very cheesy, but in a good way. Kind of, if you enjoyed, I'm sure people. Okay, this is gonna sound dumb to some people. If you enjoyed Bayonetta, you'll probably like Devil May Cry 5. And I know a lot of people are saying, "I like Devil May Cry way before Bayonetta was ever a thing," and I'm sure you did. But that's the best way I can kind of.
I'm sure you did. Good for you, but that's not what I'm saying.
That's the best similarity I can draw. I'm definitely interested in playing this. I think it has a lot of, like I said, cheese, and I'm all about that cheese.
Cheese is delicious.
Cheese is so good. I also played Hitman 2. This is coming out November of this year. And
Hitman! The game I always really want to play and never find time for.
No, and that's my thing too. I've always been really interested in this series, but I've never sat down to get to know the mechanics. And the demo just kind of throws you right into the middle of everything. And they're like, "Hey, here's a father and a daughter or something like that. Go murder them. They're bad people." And it's like a big outdoor,
go murder them,
like a big outdoor like NASCAR race. And there's a lot going on. A lot of
you had the NASCAR level.
Yeah. It wasn't actually NASCAR, but it was something like that.
Yeah,
yeah,
the off-brand NASCAR.
Off-brand NASCAR. Anyway. So I started playing. I started walking around trying to get my bearings, and then I realized I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And I was like, shit. So I turned around to a very, very kind developer whose name is escaping me, and I said, would you mind walking me through this demo? Because I've always been very interested in Hitman. I just don't know what can you do, what can you not do. And since I didn't get to start with the tutorial, I was like a fish out of water. Also, there is a gnat that is trying to infiltrate my face.
I've noticed you like looking like a there's. I knew there was a bug. I can't see it because it's that small.
That little bastard.
But I know that look. I know that look, Brittany.
Oh my god!
The look of get the fuck out of my face, you stupid bug.
I'm gonna be talking. And he's gonna fly in my mouth, and I'm gonna be very sad.
He's not gonna fly in your mouth.
No, he might.
He might, but I doubt it.
Yeah. There's ways that you can play this game that tell you where to go and what to do, and there's multiple ways of finishing each level. And so that was helpful for me because I said, okay, this is cool, but where do I go? I'm sure once you do enough missions, you kind of know what to do without needing your handheld. But there are those two ways that you can play the game. And I had so much fun. I had a lot of fun playing this, and all it took was a developer from the game to sit down with me and walk me through it for like 25 minutes. And I'm sure the tutorial system in this game will be super handy, but now I'm all in. I'm very, very excited to play Hitman 2. It's just so silly in the ways you can kill people.
I've always called it puzzle murder.
Yeah, that's such a good way of framing it. Puzzle murder.
Yeah, you're like, how can I do this? I really like to try stealthy, like as stealthy as like obtuse as possible. I want no one knowing that I'm there. Mm-hmm. In terms of other games until it all goes to hell and then you just kill everybody. But that's not how these games generally work, so I'm very intrigued by the Hitman.
And what's nice about it too is you can save the game whenever you want. So if you're doing really good and you know you could screw up this next move you're about to make, just make a manual save and then you
that's nice.
It is really nice. And if the cameras spot you, the only downfall is you lose some extra points at the end or something like that. And so yeah, I like that you can save it whenever you want because that's something I need real bad. Steimer.
Yeah.
You and I also played Leisure Suit Larry, Wet Dreams Don't Dry.
We did. And I think it's appropriate that I think it's appropriate that we talk about this game on episode 69.
Yes.
So I've mentioned this before on the panel, but I was like, I am just more generally surprised that this game still exists in this day and age. I think especially in the current climate and everything, like it's not a bad thing. It's just a bizarre thing to me. I'm like, oh, all right. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who don't know and are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Leisure Suit Larry was a very, I assume, popular I didn't play it. Adventure game back in the early 90s when these sorts of, I guess, late 80s, early 90s. And they were always extremely risque. They're all about dating and sex. This guy Larry is a horn dog and is just usually at a bar trying to get laid. That's the idea here. They're always super raunchy. Children should not play them. Thankfully, this was the one part where my parents successfully parented and did not give me this game. Also, I don't know that I was super interested in it because the art, I was like, that guy looks creepy.
He is effing creepy. He
is creepy. They've modernized him a bit. I think the art itself is really pretty. I really like art. It's all hand-drawn. It's beautiful. So it's still an adventure game, still a point-and-click adventure game. I asked them about the puzzles. They said they want to have sort of the Sierra levity I think is what they said, or I can't remember. They're like, basically, we want it to be a mishmash of a Sierra game and a LucasArts game, but the puzzles lean more LucasArts, which means, for those of you who have no idea what that means, LucasArts puzzles were always extremely obtuse. Like, random shit put with random shit that you wouldn't think would work, but just video game logic.
No, do you like those kind of puzzles?
Monkey Island definitely was that. Like, for instance, there is a rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle, and that's how you get across to and from on this one certain area, which is like, what the fuck are you, what? And also, that's not how a zip line works. It wouldn't go both ways. It would only go one way, but cool. And so, like, it's shit like that where it's not good or bad. It's just something you need to be aware of when you're going into it, because if you're trying to solve puzzles logically, that's not gonna help you. The beginning we saw it was sort of logical though, like ish. So I was like, okay, so but they said that it really ramps up in the later stages of the game to become more of that, what I would assume is like sort of batshit crazy puzzles.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But so the premise behind this particular game, Larry has been transported straight out of 1987 and is now in modern day world. So there are things like Instacrap and Farcebook and what's the other one?
Gulp.
Oh, there's what?
Gulp, which is supposed to be like Yelp.
Yelp. Unter instead of Uber, and Prune instead of Apple, which the Prune logo is shaped like a female body part. And
vagina. The
building that Prune exists in is a phallic building.
A penis.
And the top, I like that you're just using layman's terms. And then the top is got a fountain on it.
I will do that one.
Yep. Yeah. So this is the tone of game you're getting into. Larry goes into this. He's confused at the demo we saw. He didn't quite understand what was happening. He doesn't know what year he's in. He thought he just woke up after a night of a romp in the hay, and then all of a sudden it's a different world. So a whole new world to a different light. That lady had a magical vagina. But so how it works is like you have to, in order to date this one girl who you take a shining to, she requires you on Timber, yes, Timber, to get 50 points or 90 points or 90 points, 90 points, and therefore you need to date other women in order to get your Timber profile points up, which is sort of ridiculous. But if you like ridiculous, raunchy humor, that definitely seems like it would be a thing you would enjoy. Yeah. If you're like, this sounds fucking terrible, then I think you know to stay away from it.
Yeah, I'm very excited to play this because I like that raunchy, gross humor, and I'm curious to see, because like you said earlier, fucking Nat, he just tried to like get into my lip gloss. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, sir?
Your lip gloss is popping.
It's popping. It probably smells like fruits. He wants to get in.
Yes.
Anyway, that's what she said. So I'm curious to see, like you're saying, back in those days, it probably had a different level of raunch then that I'm assuming it will today. It might be a little more tasteful. I don't know. Either way, I'm just really excited to play and see how they do this. Especially, like I said, it's a different age these days.
Yes. So I'm mostly curious, or not curious, but interested to play it because, again, I think the art's beautiful, actually. I think, and I also just enjoy adventure game puzzles. Mm-hmm. So I like having more puzzles to solve.
There you go.
But otherwise, I know that we do the "that's what she said" joke. In general, I wouldn't say I love potty humor. It's not my favorite. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure entirely how well I will get on with this game from that perspective. But I definitely want to give it a try.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it, and we can chat about it and see how we feel. So this game that bug is going to be the death of me, being developed by Crazy Bunch, and it's coming out November of this year. Steimer.
Yeah.
We also played a game called PHOGS, which stands for Dogs and Physics. Physics Dogs.
Mushed together.
Yeah, so it's like Cat Dog, and this is developed by Bitloom, also coming out this year. And think of it as Cat Dog, but instead of a cat and a dog, It's just
It's
two
two dogs.
And if you don't know what cat dog is, you're probably very young. So think of it as, envision a wiener dog, but where the dog's butt is, it's another dog head.
Yes.
That's fucking terrifying.
Nailed it.
That's what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
And so it's a physics platformer, and it's, oh my God, it's a bug. Sorry, I'm losing my mind.
Sorry, you're just freaking out.
No, because it keeps like flying up in my face. It's like crazy.
Try and kill it.
I pissed it off. Now it's trying to dive bomb me. So it's a physics platformer game, and we played it cooperatively. In fact, we played it in the way that Steimer held the left side of the controller and I held the right side of the controller, or vice versa. But you can also use two controllers to play this. And so you are this phog, this dog, two-headed dog thing. And you can stretch your body out. You can grasp things with your mouth, and you can move around. And I think that's basically it.
Pretty much it.
That's basically
very
it.
simple puzzles.
Yeah, very simple.
I believe they said this was designed with more families in mind, with you playing with a child.
Definitely, and it's very pastel-y looking, very cute. The puzzles aren't overly difficult. Steimer and I finished all the ones, and I think that speaks volumes. You know.
We didn't finish all the ones in the game, to be clear. We finished the ones in the demo.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. We finished the ones in the demo. It was cute. I don't know if this is something I would ask Jason to play, but I don't know. It was cute, and you got to appreciate doing something different like this. Yeah,
and I think if you do have a family and you're like, I have nothing to play with my children, this is a great option for you.
Yeah. But so PHOGS, keep an eye out for it. It's pretty cute.
And PHOGS is spelled PHOGS, just FYI.
Thank you. So I played a strange game called World of Horror, which sounds like something I would totally love, and I kind of am into it. This is developed by Pans. Okay, I'm going to butcher this. P-A-N-S-T-A-S-Z. Panstaz.
Pants! Just call it Pants.
Pants! In Isbird Games. And I'm just going to read the blurb, because I don't know how to describe this game. People, I guess, would call it a one-bit game. So here's the blurb.
A one-bit?
One bit. Experience the quiet horror of this love letter to the works of Junji Ito and H.P. Lovecraft. World of Horror is free of typical jump scares, relying solely on its unnerving environments and amorphous terrors to create a gnawing sense of dread. Complemented by haunting chiptunes and a one-bit art style with a variety of available palettes, World of Horror presents a series of frightening and unsettling accounts that linger well after stepping away. So Junji Ito is a Japanese horror manga artist, and I'm sure if you were to Google his name, you would see stuff, and he's very talented, and it's incredibly freaky stuff. So my understanding is that the old gods are pissed off, and you can play several different characters, and you have to figure out what's happening, what's going on, and why, of course. So you start the game off, and you are a student, and you are in a school, and it's the UI of it is just one screen. There's no moving around in the sense you don't get to actively walk around. You see on the bottom of the screen is the text box where important stuff happens. On the right is your inventory. In the the left is where you decide what your next action is, and it all plays out on that screen, including the battles. And I really enjoyed it. It's coming to Switch, and which is the perfect platform for it. And so what I did is I had to explore different areas of the school. So you had the option to explore the library, and then after that you had the option to explore the gym, and then something happens. There's typically a fight of some sorts, and you have to queue up your actions when you fight before you can fight. So it's
like turn-based, but you pick your moves before?
Yeah, it's like turn-based, but you pick up to 3 or 4 moves before. Now, I only got maybe 15 minutes with this game, and it was several days ago, so my memory's a little rusty. But what I will say is it's definitely freaky, it's definitely interesting, and I am very, very into it. And when it comes to Switch, no release date yet. But if it sounds like something you might be into, just like give it a quick Google-y search, and then you'll probably know instantly if it's something you'd like or not like.
I just want to figure out what the hell one bit means.
Oh God, this bug. Can we name this bug? I don't know.
A name that's really irritating to you because it's pissing you off. Okay.
Bartholomew the Gnat.
Bartholomew the Gnat.
Bartholomew the Gnat. So what? Yeah, check it out. Black and white. It looks something you play on an old Macintosh system.
Okay.
Yeah, does
Got
that
it.
make more sense?
Yep. Yes, it does.
All right. Next up, Steimer. We played the Blackout Club. Speaking of freaky deaky games,
my God, I kind of hate you for taking me to this game.
This is a game being developed by Question, former BioShock and Dishonored devs, coming out in 2019. Thank you for coming with me to this too, Steimer. You're such a trooper.
I was like, I really don't want to be here. I don't like scary games, and I was the only one in that room, like screaming, not screaming.
No, you were
terror,
yelling.
I guess screaming is the wrong word. I was yelling. So here's how this game plays out. How they described it was Stranger Things meets Left 4 Dead. So sort of like that. So you are children in a town, and some weird things are happening that you start to notice. So the adults in the town just get up in the middle of the night and start wandering around, and have some of them, there's like different types of neighbors, I guess, because these are all technically people in your neighborhood, which is why you can't actually kill anybody, because it would make no sense if you were killing your mom or your neighbor. But a lot of the people have veils over their faces, but they'll hear you. So it's sort of like a clicker from Last of Us. So they have audio cues only. So if you make a lot of noise, they'll come after you. There are others that I think they called seers, but that could be making that up. But they do have full use of their eyes and will just come running at you if they see you. So there's up to 4-player co-op. Each kid has like their own specialty that you can pick from these decks of cards, basically, at the very beginning of the game. So I could choose to be somebody that takes down people very quickly. And by take down, I mean like just knock them out. They're not dead. You can run much faster. You can like build into sprinting. You can be the person who's like hanging out on the roof with a drone trying to scout for people. You can, what was the last one? I forgot the last one.
Drone? Did you mention that?
No, I just said the drone. Literally just said it.
I don't know if I'm coming or going these days, Steimer. You gotta be patient with me.
I don't remember the last one, but there's another thing you could do. And so you each can take on your sort of role. And what we were trying to do in this particular demo, there's another note. There's also something that comes around. It's called the shape. So you cannot see the shape unless you close your eyes in the game. Obviously, in real life, you would see that thing.
Thanks for clarifying.
So in the game, you hit a button. I forget which button it is, but you quote unquote closes your eyes, which then means you can see the shape. The shape will go after the person that is doing the best in the demo, or not in the demo, in the game. Mm-hmm. And so once the shape can like hit a person, I think up to 2 times, maybe 3. So if somebody gets caught by the shape, you need to have somebody else go over and like snap them out of it, because the shape essentially puts you into some sort of trance, similar to how the rest of the townspeople are acting. And the whole goal is to just find evidence, figure out what the hell's going on, and then get it back to quote unquote headquarters. Who knows who headquarters is? Maybe they explain it at some point. But so that's kind of like your recon mission. So you all leave from one spawn point together, and then you're trying to collect the data, and you're trying to head back to that point so that you can get picked up and leave, which is also sort of weird because you live there. But, video games.
So I ran into the shape. The shape
ran into you.
Well, yeah, that's probably what happened. I was trying to sneak into a house, and I caused too much noise, and I was fighting an adult, and then the shape. So you know when the shape is coming, because like I think you said this time, where the corner gets distorted. So
I didn't. So that's how you can tell it's coming if your eyes are open. Right. Yeah, like the screen has like a red blur to it, mm-hmm. and that shows you the direction that it's coming from. Right. So if you were to turn and then use the close your eyes button in that direction, you could hopefully see it, and then you need to sprint and get the hell out of there.
Get the hell out of there. So I'm really bad at stealth, and I caused too much noise around one of the clickers of this game, if you will. And I got all caught up, and I was running and frantic, and the shape was like, "Oi, Gov, I'm going to eat you." I don't know if he's Australian or whatever.
I hope he talks like that.
I guess that wouldn't be so scary. And the next thing I know, my screen just goes completely black. And I'm like, oh no, I'm being devoured by the shape. and it was black and remained black and was continued to be black. And then the developer, I think it was like the head writer or whoever he was, came by and he's like, oh, that's not supposed to happen. And then he looked on Steimer's screen and she could see me in her game because we were playing on 2 different screens. I was being choked out, choked to death, eternally, forever.
She was just in an eternal chokehold. So what had happened was they were like, "Oh, you've been caught by the shape." So I try to go to Brittany to try and like snap her out of it, right? Because that's what they said to do. You can go help your friends. So I'm headed back to help Brittany, and I keep bouncing off the shape and like taking damage. And I'm like, "Ow, what the hell is happening?" And they're like, "Wait a minute, close your eyes." And so I closed my eyes, and the shape's just there choking her. So that meant that I didn't have to worry about the shape in the demo. So I got to but I still got caught like so many times by these townspeople. I screamed bloody murder when they did.
So funny.
I was like, "Get off me! Get off me!"
This is why I love bringing her, because there was like 4 or 5 different stations, and the horror games.
Everyone's quiet.
Everyone's quiet, like super into it. And no, Steimer and I have been told many times during the multiple demos we've done together that we are oftentimes the most entertaining duo. I mean, if you listen to the show, you could probably understand why. We're very weird and loud and crazy. And so everyone is so quiet in this demo, and then there's Steimer going, get off me! What are you doing? Get off of me! Get off of me! And the guy who was helping us in the demo, like, I think he even put his hand on your shoulder, and he's like, take a breath, get zen.
And I was like, "Don't touch me!"
Oh my gosh, she was wound up pretty tight. That's what she said.
Yeah. But I was just like, "Leave me alone, man. Like, you're the one who made this game. You got all these things coming after me. Don't be like telling me to calm down when you've built this to rile me up."
I think he was legitimately worried for your mental sanity.
I wasn't gonna have a heart attack. It's okay.
If people don't know you, kind of.
But then also, so like, as I was caught, you have basically like a last. If they drag you near a garbage bag, you can throw it at them and get out of it, which I did 2 to 3 times because I just kept getting caught. And then I would try to run away, but my sprint bar was so depleted by that point, because I think when you take health, it reduces your sprint. But I did make it. I like got the evidence. I got everything I needed from that house, made it back, and then it was like, everyone must be here in order to proceed.
I couldn't join you because I was being choked for the rest of my life, which I didn't
and
know
I was
if it
like,
was a life
well,
at that point.
So like the thing that made the game easier also made it impossible to complete.
Yeah, so this game obviously, yeah, coming in 2019, it's still obviously early. I think, was it them that said they're treating this almost like a beta test of sorts, because they're finding all these new bugs. So it's obviously rough early, but if it sounds like something you might be interested in, it's a game you should
keep an eye on it.
Yeah, check it out. I played I didn't play actually. I watched a short demonstration of Left Alive by Square Enix. This game is supposed to come out this year. That can't be right. I have 2018 written down, but I'm like, there's no.
You're like, what?
There's no way. So I didn't know a lot about this game going into it. Let me look it up. It's based off of another franchise that's been around for a while. Last Frontier or something? I don't know. Steimer, sing me some jingle music while I look this up.
Oh, do 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 do.
Okay, Okay, yeah. So it's set in the Front Mission universe, and that means nothing to me, so I'm not going to pretend like it does. But I know to some people that means something. And you play as 3 different characters, and choice is very important in this game, in the sense that you try to help everybody, all the characters you come across, survive, because then you'll see what happens to them in the end game. That's kind of the message that was pushed to us. I don't know the significance of that. I don't know if that means you're going to get a better ending. But I'm hesitating because I don't know. Okay, this game is very strange. So think of it as a third-person cover shooter game where, there's waist-high walls everywhere, and you bend down behind it, and you pop up and you shoot. But there's a lot of crafting in this game as well. So one of the levels we saw showed one of the women, and she needed to escape. But in order to do that, she had to craft a lot of stuff because she didn't have anything on her. So this demo was just being shown to us so you could see the amount of crafting and the things you can do. She crafted a beacon that showed the enemy's location. I think she crafted grenades and other things. So, okay, there's crafting. And then it showed another demo where you are speaking with a father and a daughter, and you try to convince them to get the hell out of Dodge because there has been an unexpected attack on the city. And you're like, please save yourselves. But the dad's all stubborn. He's like, no, I'm not going anywhere. And the daughter's like, well, maybe we should consider it. And then if you play your cards right, you can convince both of them to leave. If you say the wrong thing, maybe one will leave or no one will leave. So there's that element of it. And it was multiple different choices that you could make. So it's not just like a, yes or no. The next part of the demo we saw was when there were hostages and there were the bad guys pointing their guns at the hostages. And they're like, we're going to shoot your head off in 10 seconds. So, okay, that's your cue. You can either let the bad guys shoot the hostages or you can intervene and try to save the hostages. And then there are mech battles.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not-
out of everything you just listed, that was not the thing. If you were like, what? Like one of those logic puzzles where it's like, okay, this is to this and this is to this. I would not have fucking picked mech battles.
Mech. And the mech actually was probably like the best looking part of this game. So I'm not trying to sound down on it. This game is just, from what we saw, very early, very rough. I'm honestly I'm wondering why they showed what they showed already. I feel like the information they're trying to give in this presentation would have been better off in a press release or in something, because it just, when I saw it 2018, I said, no way. There's no way this is coming out this year. I hope it doesn't, because it clearly needs more time, and trying to release among super polished juggernauts that we're getting this fall is just like not a good idea. I'm not saying I'm writing this game off. I very well could enjoy it and get back to it, but it's definitely something that I just need to see a little bit more and some better things from it.
Yep, that's fair.
There we go. Last thing I played by myself, Pathfinder Kingmaker. So this is developed by Owlcat Games, published by Deep Silver, coming out actually in just 20 days from today, which is September 25th. And this is a game I am all over 100%. I believe it was Kickstarted. They raised about $900,000. I'm sure that wasn't all of the game budget, obviously. But yeah, it looks very old school CRPG. Very Dungeons and Dragons-y, very deep divey RPG nerd-esque computer game, and I'm all about it. It's you can get very in the weeds with how you want to play your character, how you want to design your character. You have the dialogue, you have all the party members. I was just talking about Spellforce 3 not that long ago, and it's kind of giving me the same sort of CRPG vibes. So if that's something you think you could be into, definitely look it up. It's a good time. Except for I only had 20 minutes with the demo of it, and 20 minutes for a game like this barely gets you through like the character creation. And I was like, no, dude, I need more time, please. But yeah,
I need like at least 2 hours. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Oh, at least. All right, Steimer, we have 2 more games to talk about. Indivisible, Lab Zero Games, 505.
Let's talk about Bless Unleashed only because it will be shorter.
Okay, you want to save the big one for last.
We'll save the long one for the last one.
Okay, so Bless Unleashed is Bandai Namco's latest MMORPG. It's coming to console. I think we were told February 2019.
That seems way too soon.
And I remember we both walked out of that demo being impressed with the combat that we saw, but the release date, we were just thinking there's no way.
Well, the trick is that we only saw a combat demo.
Right.
We saw no systems. We saw no world. I have no idea how this game works other than the combat. And that obviously is an important part of an MMO, but that's not the only part of an MMO. In fact, you got quests. You got still there's so many. I had left that demo being like, I have so many questions. I don't even know what the purpose of this demo was, other than to be like, we have character classes, here they are, and here's how combat feels.
Yeah.
And they didn't even necessarily go into I don't know if I can customize this class in any way. I don't know if this is just what I get. It's this or nothing. I don't know. I don't know anything. I have so many questions. I don't know how gear works.
It was, we walked into the room and there were just, maybe 4 demo stations, and it was just Steimer and I, and they said, okay, these are the classes. Pick a class you want. I was,
you were the Berserker. Which is basically a 2-handed major DPS character. There was sort of a paladin-ish character to her right, which I can't remember what they called it, but sort of like a tank.
Yeah.
Then I played the Ranger, which was a ranged character with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
No pets. Saw no pets.
No pets. So It was just a combat demo, which is, I mean, a little unfortunate because we thought actually it was going to be an hour-long demo, which would have made sense for an MMO, but it only took us maybe like 10 to 15 minutes. But what I want to say is, when it comes to MMOs, I'm usually turned off because I don't like how repetitive the combat is, or I don't like how it's just you tap a button and you hope for the best. This definitely was not that. This was, you had to be very quick with your fingers, and you had to like do the button combos, and you had to be on your toes, which I really appreciate. So that rubbed me very well. I don't know, is that the opposite of rubbed me the wrong way? It rubbed me very well.
It did a good job rubbing me. I had sort of a different experience playing the Ranger. It didn't feel difficult because I could just snipe from afar.
Oh.
And I was still dodging. Now, I will say they leashed it for sure. Like, I couldn't snipe from super far away. I did have to get up to a certain point before my shots would actually hit and do damage to the character. So you couldn't, like, super cheese it. But it was definitely, I don't think I did any combos. I literally just, like, shot them over and over again, and then dodged when I needed to dodge, and I made it through just fine. So I wasn't as impressed. It wasn't bad by any means, and yeah, I think it's nice to have decent action combat in an MMO because you're going to be doing combat a lot.
Yeah.
But I just had way too many questions about this game leaving it, and it kind of made me wonder why they even bothered showing this little bit. Like, show me a vertical slice. What does it look like when I walk into a hub? What does it look like if I can I customize this class? Can I not? I don't know. What does it look like when I get a new piece of gear? I don't even think they had any drops.
No, it was just pure, you did like 4 or 5 little mini bosses, and then you got the big boss in the end, and that was it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Steimer. I have a lot of questions, I will say, because of the combat. I did enjoy it, and I like console MMOs. I think if they can be well done, like, that's the end of my life, because I love MMORPGs, and I just don't like sitting on a computer all day. So if that ever comes to a console and it's well done, this is a good first step. The combat looks great, but like you said, way too many questions to be able to be like, this was wonderful and awesome. But
yeah,
it's on my radar now for sure.
Yes. Now, something that we did see that I am stoked about is Indivisible. And I wanted to end on this one because I think it's really fucking cool. So this is like a side-scrolling sort of platformer, but also very combat heavy sort of a game. So I get like there seems to be collectibles in that kind of nature. So it's a little bit, oh my God, I'm blanking on the term. Like an Ori and the Blind Forest. What do they call that? Metroidvania? Yeah. So it seems to be a little Metroidvania-ish. What I really like about this character, though, is the art style and also the character designs. So the main character design is kind of whatever. But the other people that join your party are so cool. Like I already forgot her name, but there's this lady with like really super badass gray fake nail claws.
She's not
and
a
she
witch.
has a dead tiger like on her head, like it's her robe.
Yeah.
She has a very witchy vibe.
She's not a witch though, but she's something like that.
Like a priestess of some kind.
Yeah, a
weird tiger priestess.
She has the greatest personality too. The banter between all these characters is really good.
Yes, the dialogue is great. The character design is really strong. I think like each character you kind of are like, oh, that's interesting. What's their deal? Mm-hmm. And the combat itself it's still like, I still feel like it's going to take me a little while to get used to. It's sort of action turn-based. So what I mean by that, if you've ever played Child of Light, that's the closest thing I can kind of think to. So you have I'm trying to think of how to describe it. So you have a battlefield like you do. Your enemies go on your right, you go on your left. Each character in your party has a face button assigned to it. So X, triangle, whatever. That shows below your character, and like a little circle will fill until you can hit that button. Once you hit that button, you can just hit the button and it will do a basic attack, or you can hit up on the D-pad and that button and it will do a different thing, or you can hit down on the D-pad with that button and it will do another thing.
And you block, right, also by holding that button.
You can block using that button, or the much easier way, which they only told me way later, is to just hit the left bumper. And the left bumper, everybody blocks. And I was like, why didn't you just tell us that? Anyways, I was like, that should be in the tutorial, not this bullshit of you hitting the same button. Why would you do that? Just hit the left bumper.
Well, because, yeah, it makes sense.
So, pro tip, do that. Anyways, so that's sort of how it goes down. And then as you're fighting, a meter fills. And once that meter fills, you can do a special move with one of those people. And I think it's I forget how to trigger. I forget the button combo. But so for instance, one of the people's special moves is you heal and revive other party members. I forget everybody else's, but it's stuff like that. The only problem I see is that you're going to have to memorize these moves, because if you don't remember what up and triangle does for this specific character,
you're screwed.
I mean, you're not screwed, but like it's going to be a lot harder to deal with. Combat's just going to be harder to go through.
Real quick, the guy who is helping us out did say they're working on their UI, because I think that's an issue that it's a very valid one. Because when, like Steimer was saying, that's just for one character. You have 4 characters with you, so there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm really bad with combos, so I would really appreciate a UI that's like, hey, do this, do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it would suck if it's like just memorize everybody's arsenal and what up does and what down does. And then also what their special move does. I feel like if it came to that, I would probably just try to memorize the special moves for everybody and just be like, fuck it, I'll just at random hit up or down on the D-pad and like
the
best. But this game does look really cool. The music was really beautiful as well. I think I also asked about this on the Switch, but I don't think
it is coming to Switch.
Is it? Okay.
Yep, they had little flyers by the
Sweet.
screen.
I couldn't remember because so many of the indie games we asked, they were like, we don't know. And I was like, but please.
Please?
Yes. So this looks great, and I'm excited for it.
It does. It looks really good. I was a little, like, typically that art style is a turn off for me, but watching you play it and actually playing a little myself, I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. It looks
it's so pretty.
It is, and I like how the combat is so different than what we're used to in games like this.
And the characters, like you mentioned, like they're so fun and they have great dialogue.
Oh yeah, they do. So, and there's over 20 characters, I think, confirmed, and I believe they said they have partnerships with other franchises coming into the game that you'll be able to unlock. So that was a concern of mine too. You know, if you have all these characters, are they just gonna be boring, one-sided, like slabs of meat or whatever the heck these characters are made of? They're not humans. Anyway, but watching them interact together, and like you can already see their little personalities coming through, especially the one with the crazy fingers. She was trying to force our main character to eat something she didn't want to do, but she's really persistent, really quippy with her remarks, and it was just really well written. And I agree, this game looks great. Coming out. When's it coming out? 2019.
Sweet.
Well, holy crap, Steimer. I think we covered all of the PAX West games that we played.
Yes, we did.
We did the thing. PAX West is officially in the books. And now, man, like you said, there's not a heck of a lot coming up now.
No, just video games to play, which is great.
Which is wonderful.
This is the time of year where you like cozy up on your couch, you get some cocoa or some cider, and you just play video games. You can spike either of those things with whiskey.
Spike any of them.
Cider, I think, would be better with whiskey than a hot chocolate.
I have been really craving fall. I love Washington, but we had a very hot summer, and I am not accustomed to that. And I am very excited to wear sweatpants and wear baggy sweatshirts and cozy up in a blanket and not have to worry about my recording room being stifling 90 degrees on specific days. Fall's going to be great. We are getting together, ladies and gentlemen. This is way down the line, but I feel like I'm not going to be on the show for a while, so I feel like I have to cover my base. October 26th, 27th, one of those days will probably be our happy hour Q&A and our live streams. So if you want to get on the ball, mark that shit down.
Yes.
Steimer, we have done episode 2 of the Britt and Steimer Show.
Yes, we have.
Also episode 69 of the West Good Games podcast.
Hell yeah.
We did it. Nothing broke. I'm very proud of us.
We did the thing.
We did the thing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to our shenanigans. We had a great time. Andrea will be back next week. I will be gone for our next week's show and the following week's show in Europe. But I will be back after that. Thanks for listening, and we will see you soon.